Cecilia Morrow is suing her ex-boyfriend, Saeed Rodriguez, for stolen property and assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3100, Moreau versus Rodriguez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Moreau, you and Mr. Rodriguez met, you began a friendship. Could you give the dog to your witness, please? You met the defendant at your place where you were both working, became friends. Shortly thereafter, you began dating, and in May of last year, you moved in together.
Yes.
Did you move into your apartment, to his apartment, or was it an apartment that you got together as a couple?
Yes, we got it together.
Who was on the lease?
It was both of us.
In October of the same year, 4 or 5 months later, you broke up.
Yes.
And your lawsuit is about what happened at the breakup and as a result of the breakup. According to your complaint, in October, the day that you, in fact, broke up, you had a fight with Mr. Rodriguez. He put his hands on you. He assaulted you. You left the house. And when you left the house, you left and went and stayed with your parents.
Yes.
You claim that Mr. Rodriguez has some property that belongs to you.
Yes.
In the house, and that the assault that took place was serious enough that you should be compensated for it, despite the fact that there was no police involvement in this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And there were no hospital records or no doctor's records.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you didn't go to the hospital or seek any medical care, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The defendant says that there was an argument. You did, in fact, break up. After you broke up, you came to his house, and there was an argument, and you did, in fact, assault him. He denies that he assaulted you at all at the beginning of October when you broke up. And he says that when you left, you agreed that he could keep the 2 corgis that you had together in the apartment. This is one of them, and that was in October. And sometime in December, this is his complaint, you called and said, could you take the dogs for 2 days? He said, okay, because there was a threat, and you haven't returned the dogs. He would like the corgis back, correct?
Correct.
Now, this is one of the corgis. Where's the other?
He was too big to fit on the plane. He's at home.
Okay, so when were the corgis purchased?
Her I got of March of last year, and the other one, Chip, I got in June of last year.
So you had one when you and the defendant moved in together?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Is this the one you had when you moved in together?
Yes.
So all the dogs were purchased after you lived together?
Yes.
Who were the dogs purchased from?
Her I got from Petland in Frisco, and the boy he found on Craigslist.
He found the dog because you wanted a second dog?
Yes.
Who paid for the dog at Petland?
I did.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is the dog registered?
Yeah.
And that's this dog?
Yes.
Sir, this is part of your complaint. You want this dog back?
Yes, ma'am.
You neither purchased the dog, correct?
Correct.
The dog is not registered in your name, correct?
Correct.
Why would you think I would give you this dog?
Because the entirety of our relationship since we bought Fatty, I was the one taking care of her in the mornings. I would wake up 6 in the morning or whatever time it was, take her out, whether it was freezing cold, hot, raining.
Who cares?
And
who cares?
Of course, but also I have here pictures where she, once after the breakup, she was stating that she can't keep the dog's not worth the money.
If you have statements that suggest that she gave you the dog, I'll read them. But on its face, the fact that you walk the dog in the morning or in the afternoon or at night has no relevance to this whatsoever.
Well, I have the messages where she's saying that the dog is, not worth anything. I need to get rid of her. She's bad. She's telling me to come pick her up.
May I see those, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Here you go.
What are you selling? Who's selling something?
She is stating that she wants to sell the dog.
That Chip?
That is the other dog, yeah.
Well, one she bought, and it's in her name, so that's definitely hers.
And also...
That's Fatty, right?
Yes.
And Chip, sir?
So it was about both of them. From the day we broke up, I kept the dogs because she couldn't keep them. She couldn't take care of them. She left them in the cage all day. And I also have evidence where, her family members are throwing cheese at her face, mistreating the dogs.
Show me. Dog looks perfectly happy to me.
Oh, you can press play.
What was that big piece of cheese that was thrown in the dog's eye?
That was my dad from TikTok.
Who did that to
My
the dog?
dad. He has a TikTok account. It's a trend on TikTok to throw it on babies' faces and dogs.
That's terrible.
It's a trend.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it's a stupid trend. I didn't partake in it, but
Why would I leave this dog in a house with a stupid person who takes out that stupidity on an animal to put a thing up on TikTok? That's absolutely outrageous.
we take care of them. They're fine.
No, you don't.
What's wrong with you? Why would you even think that that's reasonable? Well, you say here, I never assaulted Cecilia. We have plenty of arguments during the relationship, but I've never assaulted her. She has a tendency to blow things out of proportion. I have never put my hands on a woman in my life. Well, that's not true.
Cecilia Morrow has accused her ex-boyfriend, Saeed Rodriguez, of assaulting her and stealing property. Saeed is countersuing for the return of 2 corgis and claims he was the one assaulted.
Why did you leave the dogs at his house for 2 months?
It wasn't 2 months straight. It was probably like a week or two
No,
straight.
it wasn't a week or two. What do you mean straight? You had a fight in October.
Yeah. We were co-parenting, I guess, with the dogs because I was working and so was he. So we couldn't.
Are you telling me after you broke up?
Yes.
How could you be co-parenting with somebody? You mean you would go to his house and get the dogs, or he would bring them to your
No,
house?
he would come to my house to pick them up and drop them off, and it would same way with.
And he would see you.
Yes.
He would see you.
Yes.
Did you have conversations with him?
Nothing important.
Well, I want you to tell me, after you broke up, how did you arrange that you would co-parent for the dogs?
There wasn't really an agreement. It was just, I'm busy, can you pick him up? Yes, and then same.
Not true.
All right. This argument that you had in October when you broke up, you want to tell me about it, and then I'm going to get back to the dogs.
So he assaulted me. He punched a hole in a TV. He bought the TV, but still, he punched it because I told him if he was going to put his hands on me, then we're actually done. But he punched the TV instead, and I have pictures of what he did that night.
I don't care if he punched a hole in the TV. It's his TV.
Yeah, he punched holes in the apartment that we were staying at as well.
You're still in the apartment.
Yes, Your Honor.
He's still there. Did you take her name off the lease?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't care what he did to the apartment, madam. He's still in the apartment. He's going to have to pay for any damage. Let's move. You didn't call the police as a result of whatever incident happened in the house. You said he got mad at you, he accused you of cheating. That's what you said in your
Yes.
complaint. He came in, he jumped up on top of the bed, and then he choked you, and then he hit you. You have photographs of that.
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at them. I'm just going to take this. I don't know what this is from. Clearly shows that something happened in her mouth. I'm not exactly sure what. She has 2 marks that she's showing me. Now, did you hit her in the mouth?
No, Your Honor.
You tell me in your own words what happened the night that she came home and you accused her of cheating.
So the night that she came home, I told her, I'm like, what are you doing? Where did you go? She starts trying to make up excuses. I show her messages. I'm like, okay, you're lying to me. I don't appreciate it. She starts going off. I start going off. Just a verbal argument. And just like how she assaulted me.
No. She didn't touch you that night.
She pushed me.
Tell me how that took place, sir, that she pushed you.
She's a very angry person, and...
No. How it came about that she pushed you.
Well, started arguing back and forth about how she wasn't doing anything wrong. I told her,
Okay,
yes, you are.
and now you're fighting verbally back and forth.
Yes.
And she pushed you. She put her hands on your chest.
And she...
Show me how she pushed you. Show me on your roommate how she pushed you. Go ahead. And
she just started trying to slap me.
And
at that moment, that's when I pushed her over and I told her, do not put your hands on me.
just a second. So you pushed her over.
Yes, to defend myself.
You pushed her over. All right. So this is your problem, sir. You said nothing happened that night. You said in your answer nothing happened that night.
I have a copy of the police report that I reported.
I'm going to look at it in a second. Now, you say here, I never assaulted Cecilia. We have plenty of arguments during the relationship, but I've never assaulted her. She has a tendency to blow things out of proportion. I have never put my hands on a woman in my life. Well, that's not true. You just told me you did.
As self-defense.
You didn't say that here. You said, I've never put my hands on a woman in my life.
Would that be considered assault in self-defense?
No. That's not what you said. Okay, now I'll see the police report. Okay, so what you did is you came home after you were drinking for the night. That's what you told the police, that you had a night of drinking and you had a fight. He wanted to know where you were. She said the argument became physical. The defendant here grabbed her and pinned her onto the bed while he laid on top of her, holding her arms down. Proceeded to take his right hand and bruised and cut her lips. She was dizzy but did not lose consciousness. It was not because of the alcohol she had previously consumed. Cecilia said she eventually left the room and went to sleep. Just a second. So after this incident, when he allegedly hit you, causing this injury to your lip, you went back to living with him?
Yes.
Yeah? I'm reading this thing, and I said, well, she said she was assaulted. She left. She went home, and she went to live with her parents. But you didn't. You went back to sleep, and then you stayed with him because this incident, the one that you just described to me, happened on September 10th. And you went to the police on October 24th.
Yeah.
Then there was an incident on October 19th. She said you had another argument, but he did not strike her because she threatened to leave if he did. Instead, he punched holes in the apartment. She decided to leave after that and no longer is living with him. Okay. Now, later on in the month, after the 19th, because now I am not considering what happened on September 10th, because you went back to live with him. Between September 10th and October 19th, did you share a bed? That's a question.
Yes.
Every day?
No.
4 days a week? No. 5 days a week? You were living together until the 19th of October.
Yes.
Where did you live?
Well, we had couches as well as a bed, so we weren't always sleeping together.
That's not true.
You know, I don't believe you. Okay, good. So I'm not even considering the 10th of September. Later on, there was an incident where he says you assaulted him. You came to his house where he was living now. You were living at your parents' house, right?
Yes.
And you came to the house. What date was that?
It was like 2 or 3 days after the breakup.
Was the breakup in October?
Yes, Your Honor. It was October 12th.
October 12th. Got it. You tell me what happened on October 12th. Did you go to his house?
I can't remember.
She was living with me.
She was living with you?
Until that day, October 12th.
I moved out October 31st. I was still living with him on that incident that happened on October 12th. We broke up, and that's when he punched the... I have pictures right here when he punched.
I heard punching the hole in the wall. I'm not interested. He still lives there. He's going to have to fix the hole in the wall.
No, I'm saying that's why we broke up, because I told him if he put his hands on me, then... But he punched the TV instead.
Now we're talking about his allegation that you assaulted him.
I did not touch him.
That is false.
That's your counterclaim that you have. Then I have to figure out what to do with these dogs.
So I have pictures and I have messages where...
I want to know when it happened and where.
Let me show you.
No, I want you to tell me. When did it happen and where?
It was a day or two after I had left, which might have been October 14th or 15th. And she was upset because I had already picked up Fatty because she asked me to. She texted me, I want my stuff back. I want the dog back. And I told her, I was like, no, if you already filed the lawsuit against me, let's just go about it the legal way. I told her, do not show up at my house, which I clearly have messages where I state not to show up. And in those messages, she threatens to murder me, find me, and kill me. At that moment, I told her, if you do not leave, I will call the cops. And in that second, she lashed out, grabbed my neck, and scratched my whole neck and my shoulder. And that's...
What date was that?
So October 14th or 15th.
And then you went to the police on October 24th for the first time?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can I see your photographs, please? Did you report this to the police?
I called the police in the incident. That's why she attacked me.
Just a second. Did the police respond?
The police did respond. They did not want to take a report.
Kevin, would you show this to the plaintiff, please?
He pulled a gun out on me, and that's why I brought her as my witness, because she was there and saw everything that happened that night.
There are several reasons why you get these nonsense online doctors that will attest to the fact that you need a therapy dog in order to survive. What was the reason? I'm really smart.
I know. It was so we didn't have to pay the pet deposit when we got the apartment.
So it was a fraud.
Candace Cameron Bure stars as Ainsley McGregor,
I'm a criminologist and you need one right now.
the first in a new series of mystery movies.
We could crack this case.
I hope I don't regret this.
A Case for the Winemaker, streaming exclusively on Great American PureFlix.
You have been selected for astronaut training.
Is that an astronaut?
Not with my tax dollars, she's not.
Are we sure Dr. Simpson belongs here?
I can do this.
Cecilia Morrow claims her ex-boyfriend, Saeed Rodriguez, owes for an assault and personal property. Saeed is countersuing for the return of 2 corgis and says he was the one assaulted.
Now, did he pull a gun out before this happened? I want you to explain exactly how it happened.
The reason I went to his house is because I noticed on my credit card that he spent $600 on a PS5. He's 22, by the way.
What is a PS5?
A console for gaming with those kids play Fortnite, yeah.
Okay, so he spent money from your credit card?
Yes.
Okay, had you contacted him about it?
Yes,
Before you
I
went?
have, yes.
Okay.
And he took my dog as well, and she is my ESA animal. I can't be separated from her.
That's not true.
She is my ESA animal.
She's what?
My ESA animal, emotional support animal. It's registered with the government. Do you want to see the...
I'm not interested.
Okay.
Do you work?
Yes, I do. I'm a realtor as well as a financial advisor.
Do you see a therapist regularly?
I need to.
Yep, that's not what I asked you. Do you see a therapist regularly?
No.
Who did you get to write the letter for you that indicated that this corgi that you left behind is an emotional support animal? That's a question. Madam, look at me. It had to be a doctor, correct?
Yes, it is.
It had to be a doctor.
Yes.
What's the name of the doctor?
I have
No. The answer is you don't know offhand the name of the doctor. Is that right?
Yes.
Does the doctor live in the area where you live?
No.
How many times did you personally visit this doctor?
Not once. It was registered through online.
The answer is never.
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me that I should look at a certificate that some doctor gave you online that you needed a support animal when you are not in any psychiatric care and haven't been. The doctor never examined you, but for a fee, pay attention, for a fee, wrote you a letter so that you could make this an emotional support dog. Now I want you to tell me in what month?
May. And I have the registration if you want to take a look at it.
I don't want to take a look at it at all. It's nonsense. You know it's nonsense, and I know it's nonsense. Now, there are several reasons why you get these nonsense online from close the cover before you strike doctors that will attest to the fact that you need a therapy dog in order to survive. There are several reasons for it. You want to take it to work?
No.
What was the reason? There has to be a reason.
Yeah.
I'm really smart.
I know.
Really smart.
It was so we didn't have to pay the pet deposit, so when we got the apartment.
There you go. So it was a fraud.
No, but
Just a second. So it was a fraud. So you committed a fraud, so you didn't have to pay a pet deposit for your animals. When I asked you, you want to read me back the answer when I asked her, do you see a psychiatrist? And she says, no, but I need one. And you knew you needed one in May when you had to pay the pet deposit.
No, I need
You
to.
two people are really cute. Is that what she said?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, the plaintiff owns the dog. She owns the dog. She paid for the dog. It's registered in her name. The fact that you were a good caretaker, I can't help you with that. The dog looks as if it's in pretty good shape. Believe me, if the dog didn't look as if it was in pretty good shape, somehow I would find a way. But right now, the dog looks as if it's in pretty good shape. I'm directing the plaintiff, however, that in the event that she has to remove the dogs from her parents' house where she's living, that she's precluded from selling them or giving them away until she gives you an opportunity to take them. I'm also directing you because I assume you live with your parents and I assume your father's going to be watching this, or I would tell him when I got home that the judge called you a moron.
I will.
You can tell him that.
I will.
And I suggest to you that if you want to own a pet, I've had pets all my life, you have to protect your pet from morons.
Yes.
Whether they be little children who are morons or adults who have nothing better to do than to make TikTok videos using somebody else as a fall person. Frightening. As far as the assaults are concerned, I find that you both assaulted each other on 2 different days. There's no question in my mind that you assaulted him, and there's no question in my mind that as a result of her pushing you, and you have a temper because I know that you broke some of the things in your apartment, that you did, in fact, do something in her mouth. It didn't remove her teeth, but clearly, whatever you did to her face caused her lip to hit her tooth, which caused it to have a bruise on it. Anything else that I have to consider?
Yes, all the furniture that I left at the apartment.
Did you have a moving company come and move stuff for you? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
I read the papers. You
Yes.
did. On what date did you have a moving company come?
It was November 1st.
When you hired the moving company, did you give them a list of things to move?
Yes.
And did they move the list of the things that you gave them to move?
Yes.
Correct? And they moved them.
Yes.
So that part of your case is dismissed. It's over. She's keeping the dogs. And we're done here. Case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
That's what happens when you get in narcissistic relationships. People manipulate you. I was with him since I was 15. I'm 19 now.
Honestly, I was pretty upset with the outcome of the dogs.
I haven't talked to him in months. This is the first time I've seen him in forever.
She kept coming back. I mean,
I don't like him. I don't want him ever.
done means done, man.
What's done is done.
I was so surprised when I found out that she was only 19. Not a real stable place in your life to be getting a dog, and let alone 2, when you're not settled. You know, I think that's so unfair for dog owners when they're not settled. And, you know, it's just unfortunate.
There's an immaturity.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying to me is there's an immaturity. Problem is when you're immature, you don't realize that it's a mistake because an immature person is making a mature judgment. What I actually found, I mean, it was stupid. It wasn't as if it did something horrendous to the dog, but frightened the dog by throwing this square of cheese at its eye.
Well, I've seen the trend, and it actually did start on babies, throwing slices of cheese on babies' heads in high chairs.
What is happening to the world?
Yeah.
What's happening
Too
if
much
somebody
time on
thinks
their
that
hands.
that's funny to startle a baby or to startle a creature in order to make somebody else laugh?
Yeah.
You know,
the world we live in today.
If morons want to do that, let them stick a broomstick someplace and take a TikTok picture of it on themselves.
Yeah.
On themselves.
I'm with
Why
you.
choose some other living creature? I don't understand that.
I'm with you.
I would build more jails.
Lillian Rogers is suing her ex-boyfriend's parents, Jody and Robert Denniston, for insurance money after her property was destroyed in a fire.
Court can order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3054, Rogers versus Denniston.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Miss Rogers, let me see if I understand what your position is. You were in foster care for a long period of time, and at some point you met the defendant's son and became involved with the defendant's son. In what year was that, and how old were you?
June of 2019, I had just turned 18.
And I assume that you either decided to or you had aged out of the residential foster care system, and you were invited to live in the defendant's home.
Yes, ma'am.
And you lived in the defendant's home from June 2019 until when?
Until October of 2021, when the house fire occurred.
And what were you doing between 2019 and 2021?
As in occupation?
What were you doing? Were you in school? Were you working? What were you doing?
I was doing full-time school, and then I had a couple of jobs here and there.
What full-time school?
I was in school to become a social worker for foster youth.
In what months were you in school and year?
August 2019, all the way up until now.
Okay. And who was paying for your school?
The state of California.
Are you almost finished with a degree?
Yes, ma'am.
What school?
I'm going to Stanislaus State in Turlock.
Is that where you were going to school when you were living with them?
I went to a junior college with them, and then halfway through living with them, I switched to Stanislaus State, which is 4-year.
Were you receiving housing subsidies from foster care or just tuition for school?
The last 3 months up until I turned 21, I was receiving house subsidy.
And how much were you receiving from the state as a housing subsidy?
I only got $1,000 3 times.
Did you use that housing subsidy to give any portion of that money to the defendants?
I used a portion of it. They had requested $150 a month.
Starting when?
Starting October 2020, they started requesting $100 a month in order to pay for PG&E, gas, electricity.
And did you pay it?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, this is the lawsuit. There was a fire in the house, and it is your claim that $6,000 worth of your property was destroyed. You had no renter's insurance.
Correct.
And it is your claim that the defendants used receipts that you had given them to put into insurance, and they were reimbursed by insurance for your claims, but never gave you any money.
Correct.
That's what the case is about. My first question is, how do you know they were reimbursed for your claims?
I had submitted any and all receipts for the insurance company. In September of 2022, I had broken up with their son in December of 2022. So a couple-month time span, I knew that they were moving into their house about 2 weeks after the fact that I had broken up with their son. So after they had moved into their house, after everything was refurnished and rebuilt, that's when I knew that they had gotten paid out.
Well, I'm just asking you, do you have any information from the insurance company that part of the claim, such their bills that were in your name, that part of the claim was actually paid to the defendants?
I had a Google Doc form that the Dennisons had sent me a little bit ago, and it was just them stating that this is how much they think that I deserve from the fire. I believe deserve is the correct word.
Maybe I could take a look at that.
And then I also have all the receipts and everything that I had submitted to the Dennisons.
I may look at that too, but I would like to see the first document that you discussed.
There was actually 2 documents that they had sent me.
I'd like to take a look at it. What's this truck money?
That was on a separate case, Your Honor.
What do you mean it was on a separate case?
I had filed with small claims court 2 separate cases against the Dennisons, one against Mr. and Mrs. Dennison, one against their son, Bryson Dennison.
What's the truck money is my question.
I had bought in him a truck, and then we had totaled the vehicle, and he still had owed me money on it, but I allowed him to get a different truck with the reimbursement from the insurance.
What happened with that case of the $3,300?
It still hasn't got paid to me yet.
What?
It still has not got paid.
Have you gone to court with it?
No, not yet.
Are you scheduled to go to court?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
On the 29th of this month.
And that case is not against the Dennisons, that's against their son?
Yes, ma'am.
That's you?
Yeah.
Okay. This says this makes everything final and done with this payment. We're not talking about the truck. $2,803.17. That's what you said that her items were worth.
Correct.
Did you pay her that?
No, because she did not agree to that amount.
Just a second. But that's what you offered her, $2,803.17.
Correct.
Lillian Rogers claims her ex-boyfriend's parents, Jody and Robert Denniston, owe her money from an insurance claim after their home was destroyed in a fire.
What is this broken items, hole in the wall, being paid with washer and dryer that we didn't take out of the house? They were Rob's sisters and given to their son for use, value of at least, what is that?
That's regarding the second case, Your Honor. I was being
That has nothing to do. All I want to know is this whole document that you gave me has to do with a lot of other stuff.
Correct. Yes. I was the mediator between the 2 of them.
Okay, but the $2,800 was for the fire damage.
Correct.
For the receipt for the fire damage.
Correct.
And all of this other stuff has to do with the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well then, if you add $2,800 to the $3,300, the truck money, that's what you're suing for here.
No. No, ma'am. I ended up going ahead and printing out all the documents and all the receipts that I had produced to the Denistons regarding the fire contents money, and I had added everything up. And then I also had their spreadsheet that they had submitted into their insurance company that has my name as well as everybody else in the household's name on it.
Okay. Was any of the property that you lost reimbursed to you by the state of California?
No, ma'am.
Nothing?
No.
What was the date of the fire?
October
1st.
2022. 21.
Well, in June, you ordered things online, and you had shipped to you a body oil moisturizer for $13. This happened in October. You think that they're going to reimburse you for that? It's not happening. I want you to get your act together. That's not happening.
So what we were told from the insurance adjusters was any and all receipts that we had, and I only had online receipts, unfortunately, due to the pandemic.
What?
I only had online receipts due to the pandemic.
What I'm telling you is...
So I was told to produce any and all receipts I had of everything that we had in the house, regardless if it was 2 toothpicks or...
Oh, well, that's not happening.
A mattress.
That's not happening. Not happening. There was a fire in the house, Miss Rogers.
Yeah.
The insurance company paid for the family to go to a hotel.
Yes,
Is that right? Did you contribute to that?
I paid my rent.
For how long?
I continued paying it until we left.
While you were in the hotel?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, she paid the $150.
How did you come up with the figure of $2,800?
It was in one of the insurance documents. It had listed in red on that form that she gave you, the depreciation of value. I had added a bunch of those items that she showed you on that first document that had Lily's name on it. It came to that amount minus the depreciation amount, and then that was the actual cash value is what they actually paid us.
May I see that in writing? It'll make my life a lot easier, and I don't have to go through
It's a huge document that I have on my email.
Okay. Did you share that document with her?
Did I share it? No.
Okay, I'd like to take a look at it. Where are you living now, Miss Rogers? Where are you living now?
I'm living technically in a barn right now, but it's a refurnished barn. And then to add clarity, I would like to mention that I said to add clarity, I would like to mention that as far as my knowledge is, the Denistons, they had replacement insurance, which means that their depreciation value didn't matter as long as I went and purchased the same item and then brought back receipts to the insurance company.
Well, that may be them, not you.
Oh, absolutely.
That may be them, not you. You're not an insured. You sound like a smart gal. You were living there. You were paying rent. There was no negligence that caused this fire, I would assume.
No, ma'am.
On October 29th, after the fire, you bought an iPhone Pro Max.
Yes.
For $1,200.
Yes. So from my understanding of a house fire, the only thing that burnt down was the garage. However, there's fire damage, there's fireman damage, and then
I want to know what happened to your phone.
Is smoke
You
damage.
had your phone.
Yes. So as far as the smoke damage, any electronicals and
No. What happened after the fire? On October 1st?
Yes.
You moved into a hotel?
Yes.
Did you use your phone between the time of the fire and October 21st? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Okay. Then you had no right to buy another phone for $1,200.
Yes, ma'am. So according to the insurance agency, as well as the firemen and the police department, anything electronical within the house, the stove, phones, computers, anything else.
Not happening for you.
Okay.
Not happening for you.
Okay.
I don't have to see it. I just made up the difference. Yeah, I've just made up the difference.
I also have a list of items.
I went through enough of this to see where we're at.
And she did receive money from the state. My daughter, who's here in court, was a witness to her receiving gift cards from the state, from social services, to replace her items that were lost in the fire, such as clothing.
Did you receive any gift cards from the state?
No, ma'am.
I assume you were friends while she was living there?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me your first name.
Kaylee.
Tell me about what you know about receiving gift cards from the state.
So the social worker came over to the house and was giving her a gift card to, it It was either like Kohl's or JCPenney's, one of the sorts, which Lily then...
Just a second. Did you see the amount of those gift cards?
I did not see the amount, no, ma'am.
Easy. What was the amount of the gift card?
I did not receive any gift
Was
cards.
a social worker at your house?
The only time she's ever visited the house, which was in, I believe, August of 2021. That's the only time she's ever been to the house.
When we were living in the Airbnb, the social worker did come after the fire had occurred. She came over and then...
Do you remember what the name of the social worker was?
I do not.
Sit down. Stand up. I get...
Lillian Rogers has accused her ex-boyfriend's parents, Jody and Robert Deniston, of owing her money from an insurance claim. Jody and Robert say they tried to pay Lillian, but she is being greedy.
Tell me your first name, please.
Bryson.
Bryson, did you, while you were still living with Miss Rogers in the hotel or thereafter, after the fire, did you discuss with her any subsidy that she received as a result of the fire from the state?
No.
When, for the first time, did you ever hear about these gift cards?
It was when the lawsuit was filed. She never told me about any of that.
She never did?
No.
And neither did your sister?
No.
Good. Very good. Sit down. Thank you. Okay. Just show me, would you, for a moment, what you're referring to with regard to the depreciation value of the items.
The depreciation value?
Yeah.
Oh,
and how you got to the $2,800, which I think is probably reasonable.
It's on that big file that's downloading.
If I may, Your Honor. So everything that I had in receipts right there is just everything that I had purchased online, not talking about anything that I've ever purchased from within the home for the Denistons, for myself, anything in store. Me and Kaylee Denison, we were quote-unquote shopping buddies, and we'd go shopping every single week.
I don't care. All I'm telling you is I looked at one major charge. There were charges for $13 for hand moisturizer and toothpaste that go away.
Yes.
You know, you use them up, but you had no reason to go to Apple to buy a new phone for $1,200 in a service plan. The fact that an insurance company person indicated to you that if there was a problem and if there was smoke, you can replace electronics doesn't mean they're going to pay for it. And until you can produce evidence for me, and there's nothing here, that you put in claims for $6,000 and they got $6,000, which you cannot establish in what you gave me. Do you understand? I get a little bit leery when bills are, bills are padded, especially when these people took you into their home, you lived there 2.5 years, you paid a nominal rent, you bought an awful lot of stuff, which means that you spent your housing, the $3,000 that you were supposed to spend in, and I don't know what other monies you were getting from the state because you had to get some money to live.
No, ma'am. I had aged out of foster care and I was not eligible for any benefits outside of foster care besides the last 3 months of me turning 21. And by that point, I had to rebuy all of the items I've ever had because everything I've ever owned was in that house.
I know the feeling. I was just saying, I know the feeling. We lost everything in our home, too.
So that's where that $3,000 went to.
It's still downloading. What document I do have is her list, and I itemized what was hers, what was a gift, and what was not. And that's what has the totals on the bottom. No, I don't have that. It was like 2,000 pages long.
Could you explain to me, I'm just curious, why are there 4 items here for iPhones?
That's what she's claiming, that she had bought all those phones. That's a list that she had given me of items that she had receipts for.
There were 1, 2, 3, 4 phones
No,
on
ma'am.
this.
I only had turned in the receipts for Bryson Denison and I's phone. However, on our account, there was the other 2 phones within the home. It was still within the home.
Just a second.
So they got ruined.
Just a second. Are these items that you listed?
Those are the items with the receipts I helped produce to the Denisons, correct?
So these are items that you said you should be reimbursed for?
Not me personally, because I didn't buy 2 of the phones.
Which 2 did you buy?
I only bought the first 2.
The 2 expensive ones for $2,500?
Yes.
Goodbye. $2,800, which is what they offered you. That's what you're getting. Goodbye. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
I'm glad that I was awarded something. It is unfortunate because I did lose everything that I did have in the fire, but it's okay because we can always rebuild and renew and everything else in between.
I still felt like we didn't owe her anything because she didn't have a renter's policy. She wasn't on our homeowners, but I agree.
I was alone in the house with their son, and it was a pretty scary experience. Thank goodness that a couple of us were home, so not everything in the whole house was tarnished. They were able to keep a couple of their personal items, so that was really nice.
I'm a little hurt. I opened up my heart, my home, my family are just good nature, and to have this happen, it's heartbreaking.
They absolutely did help me out, and I do appreciate them for everything. Unfortunately, there's a backstory to everything, of course.
I'll still continue to help people. It's our good nature. It's what we do as human beings.
But there's her side, his side, his side, and the truth. And what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong, and not giving me my portion is wrong.
She's just a greedy little brat. Entitled.
At the end of the day, if they're keeping my money, isn't they're trying to be greedy?
It seemed like the defendants were really cared for the plaintiff, allowed her to move into the house, had a good relationship, didn't even charge her any rent until they decided that they had adult children that should start contributing to the home, and they included her in with their own children in the responsibilities to pay a nominal amount of rent. So it's always tough in situations like that when we see plaintiffs such as this one suing people who you and I look at as their saviors. They gave you a warm place to sleep, they fed you, you had a roof over your head, you know, all of these things that they lost everything too in the fire. I don't think that they were unreasonable. She went with them to the Airbnbs and the hotels afterwards. They didn't leave her out on the street. So I couldn't imagine suing somebody after all of that unfolded.
No, it's probably had to do with a very bad breakup of the relationship that they had with the son. But I think the bottom line lesson is if you have things that are valuable and if you are a renter, and even though she was paying a nominal amount of money, it's still rent.
Sure.
That renter's insurance, especially if you have very little, is very inexpensive. Mm-hmm. And you should have it.
Yeah.
And young people don't think about that.
Until it's too late, usually.
Right. You've rented once.
Once. And even I was ignorant to the fact that you should have renter's insurance. And I was lucky that nothing like this happened. But having now seen the different scenarios that can unfold, definitely in the future, I'll get renter's insurance anywhere I rent.
Smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so you took the car to go and get some weed for the two of you.
Correct. As I'm pulling off out of the complex, a shootout broke out.
So you put your head down and crashed the car?
Yes.
Did you report the car stolen?
Because he took it without my permission.
That doesn't make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense, it's not true.
This is Judy Justice. Tanaya Fox is suing her ex-boyfriend, Keontae Williams, for destroying her car after being involved in a shootout.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3019, Fox versus Williams.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Miss Fox, this used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
From when to when was he your boyfriend?
We started dating in 9th grade, beginning of our freshman year, till we stopped talking right after this accident happened, so about January.
Okay, can we have dates, please?
January in 2023, we stopped talking.
How old are you now?
18.
How old were you when you started dating him?
14.
Okay. Did you ever live together? At your house, at his house? Did you ever live together?
Not technically, but...
Not technically. I'm dealing with reality. In reality, did you ever live together?
No.
Did he ever stay at your house? Did you ever stay at his house?
No. But we was together all the time, a lot.
What does that mean?
Like, we didn't live together, but we was always with each other.
Where?
At his house.
Better. Were you together at his house while you were still in high school?
Yes.
Is that your mother?
Yes.
Did you have your mother's permission to stay at his house? Is that right?
Yes.
Great. How old were you when you started staying at his house?
17.
So you were there for a little while before this incident occurred. Now, you had a car. What kind of car?
Malibu.
What year?
2016.
When did you purchase it?
I don't remember the exact date, but the month was in January. Before the accident happened, I only had it for 2 weeks.
Was there a note on the car?
Yes.
Do you have insurance on this car? You had to have insurance on the car.
Yes.
Full coverage.
Yes.
This is what you're claiming. You're claiming that you were at his house and he asked to borrow your car. You said no. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that you said no. So let's move on from there because it's not particularly relevant, but the car was involved in an incident. And you want him to be responsible because you say it was his fault that this incident occurred. He said it's not his fault at all. He borrowed the car. He didn't borrow the car to go and buy or negotiate for drugs at all, but he was just driving somewhere and he got in the crossfire of a shootout and the car was bullet-ridden and destroyed.
Correct.
Now, you're at your house, and this is in January or February?
January.
January what?
21st.
What time? Uncross your arms. What time did you take the car?
Around 8, 9 o'clock.
At night?
Yes.
Before you took the car, where were you? Were you in the kitchen, the bedroom? What room were you in?
In the bedroom.
What was she doing?
In the bedroom with me.
Doing what?
Laying down, watching TV.
Had you had dinner at your mother's house? This is your mother, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you had dinner at your mother's house?
No.
Where had you had dinner? It's between 8 and 9 o'clock. Everybody's eaten. Even, well, old people eat at 4:30 in the afternoon, but even people your age have finished with dinner by 8, 9 o'clock. Where did you have dinner?
In the house. I don't eat much, so I don't know.
Well, you have to eat. You had nothing to eat?
No.
Nothing. Okay. So now I want you to tell me what inspired you to go out at between 8 and 9 o'clock. Don't look down.
I went out to buy weed for us to smoke.
Okay. Is that where you told her you were going?
Yes.
She say okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right. Where'd you get the money from?
Myself.
From where?
Working.
Okay, so you took the car to go and get some weed for the two of you. Is purchasing marijuana legal where you live?
No, ma'am.
So you have to go to not a dispensary or something where it's legal. You have to go and buy it on the street?
Correct.
How much money were you going to spend on marijuana?
Like $60.
What?
60.
So tell me what happened. So now you're going to find somebody on the street. Did you make arrangements with them before you went?
Yeah.
Did you call somebody and say, I'll meet you, on...
Yeah, I called somebody and I went to go meet up with them.
And you got into the car.
I got into the car. As I'm going to get the weed, I got it.
So you picked it up?
Yes.
And you gave the seller the $60?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
As I'm pulling off out of the complex, a shootout broke out. And
what complex?
It's a complex behind the YMCA.
Go ahead.
And I put my head down once I heard the bullets hit the car, and I was driving straight. I hit the curb. The car stopped. It didn't move.
Did you give the guy the money?
Yes.
So it wasn't the guy that you bought from. It was somebody else?
I don't
You don't know. So you put your head down and crashed the car?
Yes.
What did you crash into?
The sidewalk.
Okay, you have pictures of the car? Car was impounded, I assume.
I do.
I'd like to see it. Oh, that's pretty disastrous. Now you had full insurance on this car.
Yes.
And you had only had the car 2 weeks.
Yes.
So did they total the car?
The insurance people?
Yeah.
No. I had tried to put in a claim for them to get it fixed, but they denied it. The police totaled it and put it inside the pound.
I didn't understand a word that you said, so keep your voice up and speak slowly.
The police put it inside the pound, but the insurance people, they just denied my claim that I put in for it to get it fixed.
Why?
They said that because the keys was in the engine, that it was technically my fault. Like our fault. I have the denial letter.
I'd like to see it.
Tanaya Fox claims her ex-boyfriend, Keontae Williams, took her car without permission and destroyed it. Keontae is countersuing Tanaya for stealing money from his Cash App account.
Where's the car now?
It's still inside the shop.
No, I actually don't understand this. When was the last time you made a payment on the car? Tell me when the last time is you made a payment on the car.
This month. On
Show me. Did you report the car stolen?
Yes. I have a police report.
I'd like to see it.
I actually think it's with those papers.
Oh, here it is. Just a second. This is a report of stuff. First of all, he didn't steal the car. He took the car with your permission. There's no question in my mind that living together, he went out to get you some weed with your permission. It was 8, 9 o'clock at night. There's no way that you said to him, no, you can't take it, and he took it anyway. It just doesn't make sense for a 17-year-old and an 18. That doesn't make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Who decided to say that the car was stolen and tell that to the police? Who thought that that was a good idea?
Me, because it was. I didn't give him permission. I actually told him to take his mother's truck, and he's told me no.
Okay. Have you driven her car before?
Yes.
How many times?
A lot.
How much? More than 20 times? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So I don't believe you. Now, the problem with you reporting the car stolen is that they didn't find that the car was stolen. They found the keys in the car. They found no evidence of the car being stolen. So they said the car wasn't stolen, the keys in the car. That means somebody had permission. That's still not a reason for an insurance company to deny a claim if you had full coverage on the car. So I would say that you're suing the wrong person. He's not going to pay for the car. He's not paying for the car.
Your Honor, I have evidence that he actually went out to go sell marijuana. He wasn't buying it. I actually have a text message because we know who shot at the car. It's actually his cousin. I text.
Oh, just a second. Do you know who shot at the car?
No.
I have messages of me texting the person and telling them.
I'd like to see it. So you know who shot at the car? Madam, you know who shot at the car, is my question.
Yes.
Then sue them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also have messages of me telling him how much my car is to get repaired, and he's telling me that he's only going to give me what I put down on my car.
Let me explain something to you. I'm not giving anything against him. If you know who caused this accident, who shot your car, which is what you say, so you have to sue him.
I'm suing him because he took it without my permission.
I don't believe, and I'm telling you that I don't believe that. I'm telling you that I don't believe that. So I'm telling you to sue the person who caused the accident. That's what you have to do, not him. I don't believe he didn't have permission. There's no question. If you lived at his mother's house with him, he's driven your Chevy Malibu dozens and dozens of times.
And
so I don't believe that he didn't have permission.
He took it without permission more than one time in life.
Sue the person who shot up your car and caused this accident. You say you know who it is.
My car would have never been inside an accident if he didn't take it without my permission.
Do you understand what I just said to you?
Yes, I do.
I said I don't believe you. Sue the person who shot up your car and caused the accident. You know who they are. File a police report against them. How's that? Is the person who shot up her car a regular selling drugs?
Not that I know of.
That person was there the night that you were there allegedly purchasing drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Is that the person who shot at your car?
I don't know who shot at the car, ma'am.
She knows. Did he tell you who shot at his car?
Yes.
See, I believe that.
No.
You know who shot at the car?
No, ma'am.
Do you know what cousin she's talking about?
Absolutely not.
First name? You know that person? You know that person?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay, so your case against him for that is dismissed. He got a counterclaim, taking money out of her. Did you take money out of his Cash App?
No.
Show me proof she took your money out of Cash App.
Well, I don't have any proof, but she took over my whole email.
Just a second.
She never gave my email.
Just a second. I said, show me proof she took money out of your Cash App, is what you said to me. I don't have any proof?
I don't have any proof that she took it out, but I have proof that I gave her money.
I don't care whether you gave her money or not.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. He has a counterclaim that you took $600 out of his Cash App without permission after this incident occurred. He says he has no proof. His counterclaim's dismissed, as is your claim. Now I'm going to do the second half of this case. You sit down over there, you move over there, and you're the mother. You're his mother. You move over here. Perfect.
Sit down.
Call the next case.
Case number 3019, Williams versus Fox.
Yeah. Did you swear, Miss Williams? Kevin?
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth in these matters today?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Delilah Williams is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, Tanaya Fox, for vandalizing her truck.
Miss Williams, you are the mother of the defendant in the last case, and
Yes,
it is
ma'am.
your claim that the defendant vandalized your 20-year-old truck.
Yes.
First, tell me when you purchased this truck.
I purchased this truck in June of 2020. I had it about 3 years.
Who did you purchase it from?
I actually purchased it from my uncle.
At the time of purchase, you had to register the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How many miles on the car when you registered it?
125,000.
That was 3 years ago.
Yes.
And how much did you pay your uncle for the car?
I gave him $5,000 for the car, the pickup.
You give him $5,000 in cash?
Yes.
And you kept full coverage on the car, is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
It is your claim that she vandalized the car, and I'm going to get to proof that you have, that she vandalized your car. According to you, you had full insurance on the car.
Yes.
And the insurance paid you for the damage, totaling the car, according to you.
Yes.
And gave you how much money?
They gave me $9,000.
They gave you $9,000 for a car that you paid $5,000 for.
Yes.
So far, you're ahead of the game, $4,000.
Yes, I was.
And then, according to this, you bought the car back from the insurance company.
Yes.
For how much?
$2,100.
So you're still ahead $2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have your truck back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what you're asking for in your lawsuit against the defendant, if I find that she actually vandalized your car, is $3,879.
Yes.
Are you out of your mind? Are you really? Seriously? Are you out of your mind?
How
you
is that being
just
out
a
of my
sec-
mind?
Yeah, I just given you the numbers, so you must be out of your mind, or you think that I am. Okay, so let's just for giggles. Why don't you show me what proof that you have, proof that the defendant vandalized your car?
Well.
Not well. This isn't a well. Show me what proof you didn't see it. You didn't see it.
I did not see it.
Right.
But I know
now,
she did it.
I don't care what you know. I don't care what you know. I said proof. This is a proof case. Show me proof that it's your case. Show me proof that the defendant vandalized your car.
I do not have proof, Your Honor.
Well, then you have no case. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
All right. I'm happy with that.
This one.
I came home from my birthday photo shoot, and he asked me to use the car to go sell marijuana, and I told him no to take his mother's truck.
No, but she gave me her keys. I went to go do that.
But he said that the car didn't have no gas, but I still told him no to lay down. And when I dozed off and went to sleep, I woke up and he was gone.
You hit a gunfire, you hit the bullets hitting the car, and you just hope for the better.
Because he was my boyfriend, he didn't necessarily, wouldn't want to put him in jail. Like, I knew he was gonna answer the phone for me. But it's just like, it's the principle of, if I told you no, don't take it. Like, it wasn't that deep to call the police, especially because he's someone that I love and care for. I'm not gonna put him in jail.
My child could have lost his life. We here for some money, but He could have been dead right now.
We're not together.
Oh, it's over and it's gonna stay over.
I was in Chicago, Illinois, and I was with two other friends. And around the time that she said that, she called my mom, said it happened, I was gone from Indiana for the day before that happened and the day that it happened.
Yeah, sure she was. That's what they all say.
There were so many pieces of that case that were reminiscent of other things. First of all, Sarah, I'm still not comfortable with the wisdom of a parent letting a 16, 17-year-old go and live with her boyfriend in their house just because they want to.
Yeah.
And, live together. I just think that it's such poor judgment. And I know that that's provincial and maybe not au courant with what's going on in the world. But I just find it not in a forward trajectory of anywhere.
Seems to lead to more problems that we see than solutions.
Than forever.
Than quick engagement.
And forever
Usually
romances.
more problems.
Yeah. And the second thing that I found particularly troubling was that this young man, who I think gave me totally honest answers.
Seemed honest.
Maybe not about selling, maybe instead of buying, he was selling. I'm not sure. But so casually, knowing that it's illegal in the jurisdiction where they live to buy, sell, or possess marijuana. And I'm not getting into that discussion now. There should be a federal standard so you know where you are from one state to another. But he knew it was not legal. And how casually he admitted committing a crime.
I did look it up beforehand, and then when he said it, I just cleared the tab because we didn't need the information anymore once he admitted that he knew it was against the law. It was certain thing. I only looked briefly, but it looks like it's a misdemeanor crime with a fine to possess up to a certain amount in Indiana currently. But yeah, so in addition to casually admitting to, a misdemeanor here today, also just the demeanor of the defendant speaking about his car being shot up with him inside of it. It was like, I had oatmeal for breakfast. I was like, that seems like something, it was very casual, very monotone. Like that would be a huge life event, in your mind, in my mind, in, many people's minds. And it's just unfortunate that it's become so ingrained in what's going on today that it's just like...
Yeah, and I wonder whether that would have happened had the laws been different in Indiana. Don't know. Yeah. Certainly, his mother knew that her lawsuit was ridiculous. She got paid twice. She made out like a bandit in having...
Still made a profit on
she made a profit on
vehicle.
it. Yeah, right. I don't know how that happens. Anyway, interesting case. There's an incident of road rage.
That was where he hit the side of my hand.
You threw something at it.
My driver's side window shattered. He purposely swerved towards me to hit me.
I don't think so.
This is Judy Justice. Christopher Stewart is suing fellow motorist Derek DeWitt for the cost of a broken car window and emotional distress.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3040, Stewart versus DeWitt.
Thank you. Okay. Wife?
No.
Girlfriend?
Yes.
Were you in the car that day?
I was.
Great. Did you go crazy?
Well, it was my brand new car, so yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he was driving your car?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Stewart, you are suing the defendant because it is your claim that he smashed your car window during what is an incident of road rage, a little bit on both sides, perhaps. Why don't you tell me when this happened?
So it was Halloween of last year.
What time?
I believe around 5:30-ish.
Tell me where you were.
I was at the Costco parking lot is when it started, and it ended basically on the street just outside of the parking lot.
Okay, so is this a visual of where the incident occurred?
Correct.
Just so I get an overall picture before you start your testimony, would you approach the map and show me where you first connected with the defendant?
Here, actually. This is just at the exit of the parking lot.
You're both waiting to exit the parking lot.
Correct.
And where were you positioned as opposed to the defendant? Were you in front of him or behind him?
In the parking lot, I was in front of him.
And then what happened?
He goes around me to get in front of me and honks at me. We both end up at a red light.
So he went around you?
Correct.
Were you doing something that delayed you from exiting the parking lot?
No, I was not slowing at all. I was going the 15 miles an hour.
So he just scooted around you?
Correct.
Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am. The incident started at the stoplight.
He says that something happened, there was some interaction as you were both leaving the Costco parking lot. And I have to believe that, sir, because you were both leaving the Costco parking lot.
Correct.
And if you didn't notice him for some reason, I don't know why, but he noticed you. So there's a lot of cars here in traffic. So it would be too serendipitous for me to have to assume that he's making that up, that he didn't see you exiting the Costco parking lot.
Ma'am, that might have very well been the case. I did not realize or notice his car until we got tapped at the intersection.
Okay, now you're both outside, and who is first?
His car is in front of mine.
Okay, and that's at the stoplight.
Yes.
And the light changes color.
Correct.
And he did not move.
Correct.
So now tell me what you did.
Sure. So I honked at him. I inched closer to him, hoping that he would see me. And then I had a collision with his car, like a fender bender.
Then you hit his car.
Correct.
Okay, now you can go back. Thank you. Okay, so now you hit the bumper of his car. So far, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do next?
I slightly reversed so that I wouldn't be near his car. What I did next was I stayed in my car. I saw him and his passenger get out. I didn't leave my car because I didn't want to get out in the intersection. And then the passenger took a photo of my car, the front. He approached my car. Frankly, he was staring me down.
He was what?
Staring me down like this. And I did not feel safe, so I rolled up my window. He banged on it at that point, so I decided that I was going to, I didn't feel comfortable having him near me, so I decided to reverse.
How do you reverse if there are cars behind you?
Those cars began to go around everything and U-turn.
Okay.
I was going to go in the parking lot, and as I reversed to go back into the Costco parking lot, he, again staring me down this whole time, went into the street to block my way. And he had his phone in his hand, but he was searching for something in his pockets. At that moment, I decided that I was going to leave because he was not interested in taking a photo of my car. He was looking for something, and he was staring me down this whole time.
Well, usually when you have an accident, Mr. Stewart, and this was either an accident or an on purpose that you hit his car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what, because his car was standing still. You had already had, according to you, an aggressive interchange with him when he exited the parking lot. And what would seem logical is that if he honked you as he was moving out, and then he got in front of you, and the light changed and he didn't go, in your mind, you might say, well, he's going to wait until the light turns yellow, and then he's going to turn because I was evidently holding him up at the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did that go through your mind?
I did believe that he was trying to punish me in some way.
You did believe?
Yes, I did.
Of course. Go around me, you honk the horn, now you're in front of me, we're both going to make a turn, and you're going to inconvenience me because it's a tit for tat. But the reaction to that isn't to hit his car.
I had no intention of hitting his car.
Well, but you did. His car was standing still, and you were inching towards him. If you were inching towards him at some point, what kind of car were you driving?
A Tesla Model S.
A Tesla. What year?
2022.
Okay. So you know that has those bing, 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 bing if you get too close to a car, right? So your car is bing, 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 and all of a sudden it's going bing because you're really close. So you know all of that. So this is hardly an accident. You hit his car more of an on purpose. You may not have intended to do damage, but you hit his car. Whether negligently or on purpose, the first thing that you do when you have an accident is you get out of your car and you exchange information, because I don't know if your car was damaged. I assume his car was damaged because your insurance company settled with him.
Yes.
For the damage, which means your insurance found that you were at fault, at least with regard to the damage.
Yes.
But the first thing that you do is you exchange information. Now, it's a road rage situation, so I can sort of understand why, having just hit him sort of on purpose and he getting out of the car, you would feel slightly intimidated. Did you take a picture of his car?
I did.
And you have a picture of his license plate?
Yes.
So what you do after that, you call the police and say, there's just been a hit and run. He hit my car. He took off. I have his license plate. Can you run it for me and find out who he is? And they go and they'll find him and they'll arrest him for 12 hours or something till he gives them his insurance information. In any event, now you pull up your window and proceed to take off, and he blocks your way. And then what happened?
So whatever he was looking for in his pockets, he found, because as I was driving around him, I hear a ping on my car, very loud.
Where?
In the back driver's side.
And then what happened?
So I'm in full flight mode at this point and not thinking about really what to do. So I do what I was going to do, which is a U-turn. That puts me back in his path because he goes into the oncoming traffic and stops it. That's the blue, yes. And so he stops the traffic. And again, I'm just driving forward, so I don't see this happen. But as I'm driving past him, my driver's side window shatters. And you can't really see out of it at this point because it's just a spider web. I leave and later get a phone call from the police. They tell me that Mr. DeWitt had called them and they want me to come back to the scene. And frankly, I refused because I was too scared. I didn't want to be in the presence of Mr. DeWitt
Well,
again.
just a second. Police called you and gave you a direction to return to the scene, and they're there at the scene. So what did you do? You just ignored them?
No, I told them that I didn't want to, and they agreed to have the officer come back to where I was. I didn't feel safe.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Christopher Stewart claims fellow motorist Derek DeWitt broke his Tesla window during a road rage incident and caused him emotional distress.
Now, I don't buy that you didn't feel safe, sir. You may not have felt safe if he told you to come back to the scene, but if police officers are on scene and they tell you, please come back to the scene, then that's what you do. You come back to the scene.
The officer did come visit me, and he told me...
You can't tell me what he told you. That's
Okay.
hearsay. You have a police report, I'll look at it.
Yeah, I do have a police report.
I'd like to look at it.
Okay.
Okay, so I see the police report. The police report is relatively consistent with what you testified to today. The police report refers to a video, which I assume that the police officer watched. Is that correct?
I showed it to him.
After the taking information, the police officer determined that there was felony vandalism with regard to breaking his car window. I know that you're going to have a different story for me, I assume.
Okay.
Well, he has a video of exactly what happened. So now I would like you to tell me your version of what happened. You're standing at the red light, and would you go over to the map and show me where
Yes,
you were?
ma'am. Okay. We were sitting first car here in the turn lane. He was behind us. We felt a tap. We were trying to, so we had a Halloween party to go to. So she had a new car, and you can't put an address into the navigation system unless it's in park. So we put it in park, and we were putting in the address. Apparently the light turned green. We heard him honk. I waved.
It's all becoming clearer.
Yes.
Okay. So you know you were going to a Halloween party. You were in Costco. I assume you were shopping in Costco?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But going to the Halloween party wasn't a surprise.
No, ma'am.
That's where you were going. So
Yes, ma'am.
we could have put the address of where you were going in at the parking lot.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you didn't do that. Now you're at a light with cars behind you. You had to put the car in park. Are you reading him the address?
Yes.
Yeah. Could you stand up for 1 second? I'm just interested. Did you suggest to him that he put the address in the parking lot?
We didn't think about it at the moment, at that time.
Well, you see, I would have said to my husband, you are here in the parking lot. Let's put the address in the parking lot, which he would have said, don't tell me what to do. When we're out of the parking lot, I'll put it in. Well, that's sort of ridiculous because now you're annoying other people because everybody's looking to make a left turn. Your car is in park and you're doing something else. I'm not excusing the fact that he hit your car at all because it was aggressive, but it's frustrating. Everybody who's been behind a car that's doing something else, contacting their boyfriend or their girlfriend or sending a text message or looking for something in their pocketbook is annoying. It's not being a good citizen. It's being selfish. It's just not right. Now, so you're doing something that's not right. You get tapped, and what happened?
So I told her, hey, we just got hit. We both exited the car. We walked around back and she had her cell phone on her. I did not have my cell phone. I told her, and he started backing up. Immediately, as soon as we got to the back of the car, he was backing up. So much as it made the person behind him reverse so that he didn't hit them. He started backing up. I told her, take a picture of his car. He's trying to run. So she takes a picture, and then I said, put it on video. She puts her camera onto video and hits record, handed me the phone. I didn't point the camera. I wasn't trying to be a photographer. I walked over to the side of his car, and he's backing up. Now, the car behind him is trying to get out of his way.
You can stand there. You can have a seat. Go back.
So when I walked up to his car, I knocked on the window, and it's his testimony that I was staring him down and that I was aggressive and that he was scared.
I'm sure you weren't happy with him.
And so he just started backing up. But cars coming down the road, he got gridlocked. He couldn't get into the Costco parking lot. So he came up. May I approach the map again, Your Honor? Mm-hmm. He came up past me, went between these two cars, and then made a U-turn. This is where I walked across the median to stop him. He then swerved at me. You could tell the safety features in the Tesla applied a brake and swerved to the right. He then overrode that and swerved back at me, trying to hit me in the car, in the road. And that's when everything took place.
Okay, so this is what the case is about. He wants you to pay the damage for his window and punitive damages for emotional distress, which I'm dismissing right now, Mr. Stewart, because you caused your own emotional distress. Whatever emotional distress you had, that was on you. So how much did it cost to fix your window? So I know a realistic figure, because this $10,000 isn't flying.
So the actual cost of the window was $617.86.
Okay. And how much did your insurance company pay to fix their car?
$619.45.
Okay. Before we proceed to look at these videos, because now what we're talking about is we're talking about $617 rather than $10,000. But from reading the papers, Mr. DeWitt, you suffered a broken hand.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your papers, at least, you suffered a broken hand because he hit you with his car.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sue him for hitting you with his car?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I've never sued anyone. Probably will never sue anyone.
Well, that's
sorry,
not,
but
well, if somebody swerved their car and broke my hand, I guarantee you I would find the best tort lawyer in whatever jurisdiction I was in and sue their pants off.
I felt he was trying to injure me. I would have handled it in a different manner.
Well, according to your testimony, Mr. DeWitt, he was trying to injure you. You said he overrode his Tesla to try to swerve right into you. Well, that's trying to injure you. There's no question about that. But I'm going to take a look now, because your statement is that he purposely shattered your window with something, and it's your suggestion, at least, that that's how he broke his hand.
Correct.
And he said, no, he broke his hand when you swerved. I read his papers. When you swerved and you hit him with the rear view mirror of your car, correct?
Yes.
Let's take a look. Is this your video?
Yes, this is the dash cam video.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
Right, so...
Shh.
Sorry.
Not a so. So he's got keys out. In one hand, it looks like a phone in the other. Now he's going across to where you're coming around. He crosses the little median. Oh, no, the car doesn't hit you, Mr. DeWitt. You threw something at it.
When he does the U-turn.
Okay, we're going to see more, but you do realize that you did throw something at his car.
So that was where he hit my side of my hand when he was coming past. So
I don't
where
see
my,
that. Just a second. I don't see that. So let's look at it again. Is this when you claim that he hit you?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Christopher Stewart has accused fellow motorist Derek DeWitt of breaking his car window and causing him emotional distress. Derek claims Christopher tried to hit him with his Tesla.
Okay, so Mr. DeWitt, this is my last question to you, sir. Now, you know that your girlfriend who owns the car has taken a photograph of his license plate.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're intelligent guys, so you did what you could have done, which was just stay put, avoid any more confrontation, call the police as you did. They reached out to him, got his story. You stay in your car with your girlfriend, and you're safe because you don't know whether he's a nut or not. Certainly his conduct was a little bit nutty that day, so I would have stayed in the car. Now, yes, the answer is yes. Now, your girlfriend, just curious, at any time did she say to you, just get back in the car?
No, ma'am. She did return to the car herself.
Yes, but didn't say to you, get back in the car?
No, ma'am.
Why?
Sorry. Yeah, I just assumed that all parties were going to stop and exchange information, so I went back.
Yeah, but then you must have watched there was a lot of action going on out there. You had to have been watching him.
I didn't see the specific incident when he went on the other side of the...
You didn't see him go across?
No, because I went into the car to get, like I said, it was a brand new car. I didn't even have the full registration information, all that, so I was getting the temporary information out of the car. So I was focused on getting paperwork and things out of the car.
Well, when was the next thing you saw?
When he was coming back across towards my car from the other side of the median.
Okay. And did you call the police?
We then pulled over and called the police.
Who called the police?
He called the police.
Okay.
I had her phone in my hand, so I called the police.
You called 911?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall what he said when he called 911?
Well, he reported that we were hit and that the person fled the scene.
So he said, we were hit. You're talking about the car?
Yes.
And then you waited for the police?
Yes, and then an officer
Does
arrived.
Does that sound about right, that you said we were hit, referring to the car, and the person who hit us fled the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't say I was hit.
Your Honor, I do remember when the officer showed up, we talked about it, and I did have an injured hand, and I told him when he came around that I had been hit by the car and that he purposely swerved towards me to hit me.
Your Honor, he also told my insurance.
May I see that, please?
I think you can probably sit.
Oh, well, this is from the insurance carrier because you did, in fact, claim the injury to your hand as a result of being hit. The insurance company paid for the damage on your car, but said, according to the information available and footage, the injuries occurred because Derek DeWitt punched the window of your 2021 Tesla Model S. Based on these facts, we've denied liability and bodily injury claim, which clearly you put in, and it's been closed. So that's what happened. Okay. So the answer is, Mr. DeWitt, you have to pay for his window, $617. I don't have to get into, Mr. Stewart, my judgment as to whether or not you were acting appropriately that day. You were not. You hit his car on purpose, tapped it. He was irritating. He was being irresponsible along with his girlfriend by being in a traffic lane and deciding to use that time to plug in an address that they should have done 2 minutes before in a Costco parking lot. But that's what the world has become. Nobody thinks about anybody else these days. You may have gotten frustrated, but that doesn't give you license to hit his car. I don't think that you hit him. I think that he smashed your car window, and that's the best that I can see from the video that I saw. So he has to pay you the $617. I'm also really concerned about your reaction to the whole thing, and I really don't understand it. How much after the incident did the police finally contact you, and did they do that visually or did they do that on the phone?
I was contacted first by them by the phone.
At home?
No. This was minutes afterwards.
Okay.
After the incident.
And you didn't go back to the scene, you went home?
No, I went to get my child. I was picking him up from daycare. Honestly, I didn't know what else to do.
All right, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $617. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I honor the judge. She's a wonderful person, and I've watched the TV show for a long time, so her ruling is her ruling.
She believed that I intentionally hit him.
He's got a fight or flight mentality, and his is to flight, and mine is not.
I intentionally got close to him, hoping that he would move, but I did not intentionally hit him.
He overrode his safety features on his car and intentionally damaged my brand new car, and then tried to flee the scene.
The way that he was looking at me while I was trying to just reverse, like, I wasn't trying to flee the scene at that time. I was just trying to get out of the street.
There's a lot of things you look at in hindsight and change.
I guess I won in the end, but the whole thing wasn't worth it.
Just a couple of observations. There's a certain lack of respect for just your fellow human beings. Who cares? So he's behind me, so it'll be another light.
It just makes me think of, my saying, your poor planning is not my problem.
Yes.
So just because you didn't think to put in the address in the parking lot where you're already in parked, why does it have to become my problem that now I'm stuck at a green light trying to make a left? I'm going to be late for my event, for wherever I'm going.
Picking up my kid from school.
Just try and plan a little bit better to not make it everybody else's problem.
And then getting frustrated, and really, it had to be purposefully tapping his bumper, and then turning around, trying to evade giving his information. What I think is most compelling about the plaintiff, and he was entitled to his smashed window, the police told him to come back to the scene. He said no.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
I don't know how anyone could come here looking for any amount, but especially $10,000 when you ignored a direct order from a police officer.
Anyway, I know this sounds terribly sexist, and don't write letters or anything. I'm not interested in it, but most road rage cases, most that I've tried, have been men. Now, why is that? I think it's somehow related to testosterone. I don't know. I have to do a scientific evaluation. These reports to the Child Welfare Administration, the whole bad feeling between neighbors started because of a parking space.
She parked very close to my car, as you can see on the picture. She started parking close to me like that.
She asked you to move. Your response to her was, it's a public street, I'll park where I want to park. I'm not sympathetic with you. You called Child Protective Services based on...
She yelled at her daughter to get down her. Next time she does it, she's going to beat her up, and then we heard break your neck.
You should say, hey, get off the couch right now. I'm going to beat you up. Stop playing. Okay, I'm going to break it. Oh, she says you're going to break your neck.
She didn't say I'm going to break your neck. She said you're going to break your neck.
After she threatened to beat the child up.
I still think that that's a little bit of overkill, Miss Jackson. Let's go further.
And now, the conclusion. Lynette Hernandez is suing her neighbors, Pamela Jackson and Ashley Jackson, for filing false CPS reports and defamation of character.
So the first two times that you called Child Protective Services, I think that they were iffy. And I believe, if you see something, say something. But this comes from a different place. All right.
A police officer.
Don't speak. I don't care what a police officer said to you. Actually, I really don't care. You say that she called Child Protective Services in April.
April 7th.
Well, just a second. Mm-hmm. So Child Protective Services responded to a call on April 7th. And what was the gravamen of that call? Somebody was complaining that what? Do you know?
Yeah, she told
Not she. Somebody was complaining.
Somebody was saying that I had a knife, a child, and that I was kicking her car. The same thing she told a police officer.
Did not call Child Protective Services in April. That's what she says. So now you're going to show me proof that she called Child Protective Services in April. She acknowledges she called 3 times, all after August, either August, September, or thereafter. So show me proof that she called in April.
Just tell her to press play. Just press play at the bottom.
All these in Galveston knew how to take care of their men, they wouldn't be paying her to take care of them. She's very proud of this. She's proud of she doesn't care that her kids are there. I've seen signs of things that have happened. There was one incident, and yes, It did get reported to CPS. Yes, there's a video out there. Now I'm going to have to go find the video where one of the guys that comes out giving her money, the daughter is sitting there kind of grabbing herself money, almost like something happened. So it's almost like Lynette actually pimped out her own daughter. What kind of mother is going to A, have do her prostitution in front of her kids, and B, allow them around her daughter?
How did you get this audio?
She posted that on TikTok. And the first time that they came, April 7th, CPS, they told me that those were the allegations that were made.
Clearly, that's your voice.
That's my voice, but I'm not the one that called. I learned about the allegations. Clearly, she called the police.
Clearly, that's your voice. And those are pretty serious allegations, because you're not only accusing her of committing a crime in front of her children, you say in this audio, which is on TikTok, is that where it is? People are so crazy, that she is using her daughter, who is 7. That's what you say on here. That's pretty vicious.
At the time,
just a second. That's pretty.
Your Honor, she's claiming that I'm a prostitute.
Just a second. Does it sound as if right now, I told you, I don't care if you have to parallel park.
There's another TikTok to why that one was posted that would clear more information.
I don't care if you have something that would clear more information, madam.
She accused me of being arrested for calling CPS when I wasn't. And that particular CPS call, somebody else, she called the police after
Did you post this
after
on a just a second?
I got fired for.
That's your voice. And I don't care if you're having a private conversation with somebody, if you're saying to somebody privately, this is what I think is going on there, this is what I think. You posted this on a public platform, accusing her, not only accusing her, but saying that you saw her home being used for prostitution and her using her child for prostitution. That's what you say. Hey, that's what you say in here. And it was posted because that's the only way you get it.
Views, unlike hers, that had over 4 million.
Just to say, have you ever been arrested?
No, ma'am.
I didn't ask you for anything. Have you ever been careful? Have you ever been arrested?
No, ma'am.
If you haven't been arrested, you couldn't have been convicted of a crime. You have 2 children. How old are they?
7 and 8.
Who do you work for?
I'm a home health caregiver for a company.
You work full-time?
Part-time, because I was a student.
Where?
In Galveston College.
Is that a brick and mortar school?
It's a community college.
But it's a brick and mortar school. It's not online.
No, it's public.
When I say it's a brick and mortar, it's a building rather than something in the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay. Outrageous. That's outrageous.
She ended up.
Lynette Hernandez claims her neighbor, Pamela Jackson, defamed her on social media. Pamela says she called CPS on Lynette after she witnessed abuse.
Okay, when's the 3rd time you called?
The 3rd time, she was outside with her child. Her child threw a ball at her. She took the ball and with full force, she took it and threw it at his face. She also threw it at his groin. Then when he was upset and crying, she looked at him and told him, "You've been hit harder than that in soccer."
Okay. Did you have a video
we have
of
a
that?
recording.
I'd like to see it. Which one is your phone? The happy face or this face?
Here's the one where you can see him being hit in the groin. And then there's another one too.
I'm not sure what this is showing.
Well, she's playing ball with her 2 children out in the front. It's looks like a big beach ball.
Oh, that.
And then she throws the ball in it, but it's in a in a very light-spirited way. These are not angry.
The other one's not.
These are, I got it.
Just a mother playing with her children.
CPS closed all of these cases after they came out and interviewed you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It was ruled out because they didn't find anything.
Okay, now I'm going to hear one thing from you, only one thing, And that's your counterclaim, because I don't care about police. I don't care calling the police. You're all entitled to do that. CPS is a whole different thing.
If I could add something, please.
Not unless it's on video, because what you showed me so
I got
far.
document for this one.
What?
We've got documentation on this one.
On what?
In retaliation, she called CPS on my daughter who doesn't have kids.
Who cares? Then your daughter's not at risk if she has no children. CPS responded based upon at least 3 times, maybe 4, but at least 3 times. And so far, nothing that I've seen, other than the fact that you were annoyed, would require or suggest child abuse or neglect. So I'm telling you, that's trouble for you. All I want to hear now is you claim she assaulted you. That's your counterclaim. I don't want to hear about anything else. You claim she assaulted you.
Well, we have 2 parts to that. We also have defamation.
All I care about, you have to understand, I find that what you and or your daughter did by calling Child Protective Services vindictive and vile. And it took people who should be out there really looking to take care of children who are really abused and or neglected, took their time to come out, do an investigation.
Telling me to call
Just
CPS.
a second. Just a second. I don't care. You have shown me the basis that you used to call Child Protective Services. You took the video of it. And I'm telling you, that was my business for a quarter of a century. I would never make a finding of neglect based upon anything that you had here. Anything. So now, follow directions. You know, I told you, I'm an equal opportunity abuser. I told her she's got to learn how to parallel park and not tell people where to park on the street. All I'm interested from you is tell me about this assault that you allege occurred.
The night of the assault, and we have video of it. I should get that ready.
Date, just a second. Date.
November 27th, this past year, 2022. It was in the evening. I was outside changing my cameras, and she came home and took my trash can because she had put hers in front of my car that day. Or the day before, and the cops even, because at first she...
No. Don't go off on a tangent.
Okay. So she took my trash can, put it in the middle of the road. She likes to try to get me tickets, so I went to go move it. She kept pulling it and moving it back out there. So finally I went to go grab her can to move it over. Well, she ended up taking my can and going like this. Literally shoved it into me 4 times. I ended up with scratches and bruises.
Okay.
I've got back strain and it agitated my arthritis.
I'm going to see.
I've got medical records.
Just a second. I'm going to see the video of that and the police report.
Can you pull that video? Pull up that video.
We have it on the monitor if you want to see it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to move it.
I don't see any.
Your Honor, I have a video of the whole
Just a second. I don't see anything there.
Those are just clips.
Just shh. I don't see anything there. Miss Jackson, I see 2 ladies fighting over the trash cans. I don't see her assaulting you.
It was the trash can she got me with.
I don't see it. I don't see her going like this into you 4 times. I don't see that. I don't see it. Now I'll look at a police report. That's your video. Do you see her shoving a trash can into 4 times?
You can see that they come together with both trash cans, but not much more.
Stupid. People acting stupid. Nonsense. Stupid.
Your Honor, I have the video of the whole incident of how it first started.
I'd like to see
Because she
it.
made a...
I'd like
my pink phone.
I gave them all
Pink
the
phone.
every angle of it.
Because she...
Pink phone.
She lied.
Don't speak. I'm not...
First and started putting it in the middle of the street. And I'm going to find the video for you.
You know, I really don't care. Listen to me, Miss Hernandez.
Yes, ma'am.
Take your phone. I really don't care.
Okay.
I look there and I don't see an assault.
Okay.
I don't see an assault, and that's really all I was interested in.
Defendant Pamela Jackson is accusing her neighbor, Lynette Hernandez, of abusing her children. Lynette claims Pamela posted damaging content on her social media.
Okay, Miss Jackson, when we started out this case, I said to Miss Hernandez, in effect, don't be a big baby. You have to park your car, learn to parallel park, and you can't tell somebody else that they can't park in front of their house. And you were absolutely right. Right? Mm-hmm. You owe her $5,000. I'm entering a judgment in her behalf of $5,000 for your erroneous call to Child Protective Services. That's my judgment. Don't do it again. Don't take. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Hey, listen to me. Listen to me. I'm speaking. You showed me your best evidence. You said I have it all recorded. Why I called Child Protective Services. You showed me. There was nothing there in the videos you showed me.
Because
this is not a because. This is not a because. This is not a because. I also find what you posted on TikTok abhorrent.
What she posted was worse. And it's viral. You didn't even give me a chance to present.
And your assault. I didn't see the assault, but I saw Child Protective Services. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Your counterclaims dismissed. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I overheard a lot more than what was, and saw a lot more than what was being shown.
I got justice because you shouldn't waste resources, on something, on accusations, sick and false like that.
I wouldn't have all these cameras if she wasn't constantly harassing me, calling the police on me.
Everybody gets along except her. She's the problem.
She wants to become TikTok famous. When she realized her videos of defamation against my mother was getting a big hit, she was like, okay, I'm gonna keep this on.
I'm not trying. It just happened.
We've tried to ignore her. She's the one that keeps doing it.
There's been things that she's done, and it's just all out of pettiness.
Wait for the police to finally arrest her.
Thank you, Judy Justice.
So I have two comments.
Okay.
Because we've had lots of cases with regard to parking spaces, parking in the street, and that sort of stuff. And have neighbors start off wrong, usually because of something. This was a car thing. But you have to be sensitive to the limited resources of people who are supposed to protect children. And if you keep calling them over nonsense because it really emanated from a parking space, you touched my car, it's parked too close, that's not a tool.
Yeah.
That's not a tool. And we have to fortify that statement that it's not a tool to call a governmental agency that has limited resources because somebody's bumping into your car.
Yeah.
And there are ramifications of posting that sort of stuff without any modicum of proof.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because you're making
family member at home and say, I've seen some weird things about my neighbor. I'm not sure if something weird is going on there. But those were concrete, seemingly factual statements that she was making about her neighbor that were inaccurate and, like you said, had no basis.
If true, she belongs in jail.
Yeah.
Which is not true.
No.
In my judgment, just the limited contact that I had. They both behaved badly. I was talking about this Gen, whatever it is.
Oh, us Gen Z. You realize that's my generation as well.
Yeah, yes, it is. So,
go easy on us. Remember who raised us.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Probably part of it was us. But I heard a really funny story. We were talking about this entitlement, young people in entitlement. And one of my friends said, I went into a store, where they usually have one shoe out, and if you want the other one, you have to ask a sales associate to please get you the other shoe to prevent people from walking out with two shoes. So he went over to the sales associate. The place was relatively empty. He said to the sales associate, could I get the mate of this shoe? And this kid, who was about 25, 28 years old, looked like a schlump. His response to him was, why me? Why me? Why did you ask me? There are 4 other sales associates here who could get you the other shoe. Why did you pick me? Bizarre. Yeah. I'm praying for some sort of a miracle for this generation, some sort of an awakening. Anyway.
There's some good ones in the generation that might just save us.
There are some great ones.
So.
Just a minute. There are
late fees and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2175, Grimm versus Lee.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Miss Grimm, in what state do you live?
Missouri.
In what county?
Jackson.
You have a daycare center.
An in-home childcare, yes.
For how long?
I started September of 2022.
What is your house like?
I have a single family home with a finished basement and then like an attic type. It's 2 bedrooms.
House has 2 bedrooms?
No, up in the attic has 2 bedrooms. It's technically a 3-bedroom house, but it has made 6 rooms.
And how many children do you have?
I currently have 7.
How old are they?
14, 13, 11, 8, 5, and 3, and 1, 18 months.
3 and 18 months.
I'm sorry, she's 4 now. She just turned 4.
So the older ones go to school. Does the 5-year-old go to school?
Yes.
And the 8-year-old goes to school?
Correct.
So you have 2 little ones at home?
My 4-year-old goes to early childhood, half a day.
So you have 1 child at home during the day?
Correct.
And 1 half a day?
Yes.
And you have 3 children?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
I now have a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
And those were the children that you enrolled in her daycare center?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Grimm, what kind of licensing do you have, an application that you have to make in order to run an in-home daycare center in Missouri?
So in the state of Missouri, as long as you have under 6 children, you do not have to have a license.
As long as you have 6 children in total in the house, or 6 children
that I'm watching?
That you're watching?
Correct. Because my school children are not considered watching, like under the law.
Well, you certainly have to watch your 18-month-old.
Yes, he's the only one. That's why I've always kept 5 children or less.
It is your claim that Miss Lee entered her children into your program. She paid you for a certain period of time. She owes you for 2 weeks.
Correct.
And were those 2 weeks that her children were actually, and the children were in your program?
Correct.
Miss Lee, were the children in Miss Grimm's program the last 2 weeks in October?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
Did you pay her for the last 2 weeks in October?
No, ma'am, I did not.
How much were you supposed to pay her?
For the last 2 weeks was supposed to be $600 because our agreement was $600 every 2 weeks.
Okay, so it was supposed to be $600.
Yes, ma'am.
So now the ball is in your court so far. Ms. Grimm, we're not talking about a late fee. We're just talking about these 2 weeks.
Correct.
First, tell me your reason for removing the children.
I removed my children out of her care because my children, every time that I picked them up, it was either they were harmed or injured, or my son, my 3-year-old, would tell me something had happened while I was gone at work in her care. My son had told me on numerous accounts that she hit him herself, and then he also told me that her 15-year-old son, or 14, I'm sorry, had also spanked him. And when I did ask him, or I asked her actually, I said, "Who is Trey?" Because he said, "Mommy, Trey hit me. We were getting in the car." They normally do help me get in the car with my 3 children, seeing I have one who's barely walking.
You get going all over the place.
Yes, ma'am. So they normally help me get in the car with my children, so they were outside with us. And my son said, "Mommy, Trey hit me like this." I didn't know any Trey, so I asked her, "Who is Trey?" And she said, "That's my son." And he said, "That's me." He was standing right there next to her. He said, "I'm Trey." And I said, "Bryson said that you hit him." And he said, "Yes, I hit Bryson." He said, "I popped him because Bryson wasn't doing right. Bryson didn't want to go to timeout."
On what day was that?
That was on October 20th.
That Trey, your Trey?
Yes, ma'am.
Slapped the 3-year-old. Said that he slapped the 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
You let him stay there for an extra 2 days.
Yes, ma'am.
Just that's it, yes. Now, where were you working that you had your children in daycare?
I was working as a CNA.
What is that?
A certified nurse's assistant.
Where?
It's a
nursing
like a
home?
rehab. Yes, ma'am.
When did you start working there?
I started working there in September.
September of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Beginning of September?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you stop working there?
I stopped working there October 27th. That was my last day.
If I were to call, would they tell me that they terminated you or you quit?
I quit.
Did you quit on the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about now? Are you working?
I am.
Who are you working for?
I work through a temp agency, working per diem at different locations as a CNA.
And who takes care of your children?
My stepmom. My children,
Just a second. And when did you start that job?
I started that job about 4 weeks ago.
So in December?
Yes, ma'am. Late November or so.
You left the children there until the end of October. It couldn't have been so disturbing for you, madam, to leave the children there until the end of October, another 6 weeks, if you felt as if they weren't getting adequate care. And if you did, that would be on you.
Janice Grimm claims her client, Dallas Lee, refused to pay for child care services. Dallas is countersuing for lost wages and emotional distress.
So a relative has been taking care of your children?
Yes, ma'am. Not all 3 of them. I had to send my 2 sons because I had to rearrange my daycare situation. I had to send them back to Texas to be with their dad.
So 2 of them went back to their father?
Yes, ma'am.
And who do you live with here?
I live with my dad.
What does he do?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's in the house?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to tell me why you didn't pay her for the last 2 weeks.
So my children began in her care September 12th. September 13th, she sent me a text message while I was at work, and she said, I want to let you know Lil Mama was bit today by my 1-year-old on her cheek. She sent me a picture. I have this.
Not interested. I mean, it's not that I'm disinterested. It's that don't show me anything from September, madam. You kept your children with her into October and through the end of October. And if anything was so concerning to you that you thought your children would be at risk, I'm certain that you would have discussed it with your father, and your father would have said to you, don't speak. And your father would have said to you, if you have a problem with the children, don't let them stay there. What you did, okay, I can see that you're dying to tell me something. What?
Yes, ma'am. My daughter had no other choice but to keep her children in care because I work a full-time job.
Let me explain something to you, sir. Your daughter was living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. There is always an alternative, sir. I have young grandchildren, and I would say if I was legitimately concerned for their health and safety, I don't care what it is, stay home and take care of your children. You'll have a roof over your head until you find appropriate daycare. And if you didn't do that, then you're not much of a grandfather.
Well,
you can't use something that happened in September or early October to say, well, that's why I didn't pay the last 2 weeks. So you can't make excuses, sir. I'm telling you, I'm a grandmother and I've had little children. I don't care what you had to do. Quit my job, whatever that job is, and say, we'll all stay home and take care of the children until you find, or you stay home and take care of the children. I'll provide you with always a choice when your babies are concerned.
In our estimation at that time, we were giving her some hard life lessons because she does now have 3 children, and there are going to be some difficulties in this living situation. There are going to be some things. So what we were doing, we're giving her some tough love and saying, hey, you cannot give up just because the chips are down or because things happen. You have to try to figure things out.
Well, that would be on you. That's not on her. This is not her daughter. It's your daughter.
Absolutely.
And your grandchildren, sir.
Absolutely.
And if you want to teach her some real hard lessons and say, you got to stay with the daycare, even though you're dissatisfied.
We said, give her a chance because it was the first day.
So.
It was the first incident, first day. We said, give her a chance. Things happen sometimes.
What I don't want to hear is from you, who seem like a very intelligent man, a working man, is my daughter had no choice. Your daughter has a choice. Her choice is to say to you, Dad, please, I have to find the right daycare. I have to stop working at this job. I may need a month. You may not have liked her previous irresponsible behavior, right?
Correct.
But the deed is done. She got 3 young children.
Beautiful children.
Right? So what you do is when you have 3 young, beautiful children, you protect them.
Absolutely.
And if you're not smart enough to protect them yourself, you got to rely on your father who's smart enough to do that. What I'm saying to you is your daughter used this lady's services and she has to pay for it. She may not send her children back, but your statement that you were so anxious to make to me, which is my daughter had no choice, she did have a choice, sir. She did have a choice. Before I would let my children stay in a place where I actually believed that they were being abused, because that's what she's suggesting. I mean, she's not suggesting that this young man, who I'm not condoning hitting a 3-year-old, gave him a slap on the rear end. I'm not condoning that. But there were no injuries to him. I don't know whether you've done it. I don't know whether she's done it.
For the first incident, what we were trying to teach her is that you don't just throw in the towel, because Ms. Grimm was just starting her service up. And
September 5th.
So we understand that there are going to be some hiccups and some things that she has to fix as she comes across them. And so she's a young lady. My daughter's a young lady. So as an older man, I'm trying to support 2 individuals to build their lives up. And so I told my daughter, I don't like that she was bitten, but at least she came forward very quickly and told you, so leave them there for now. And if anything else transpires, then we can start to look at things then. Yes, ma'am.
Who do you work for, sir?
I work for the Veterans Administration.
And how long have you worked for the Veterans Administration?
21 years.
Do you get paid every 2 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say your boss at the VA all of a sudden decided they didn't like the work you were doing. And you left and they owed you 2 weeks' pay because you had actually worked for the 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And you sued them for those 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You worked there. You said, well, we didn't like the quality of his work for those 2 weeks. Well, then you fire him, but you pay him. It's like going to a restaurant. My favorite analogy is you go into your favorite restaurant where you get a steak.
Mm-hmm.
And you order a steak, medium, Pittsburgh medium. Steak comes, you cut into it, you take a bite. Oh my God, you say, I don't like the way this tastes. You take the plate, you spit out the bite if you're smart, call the waiter over and say, this is a bad steak, right?
Absolutely.
And the waiter takes it off the bill or you order something else. Now you cut into that same steak, you say, this tastes terrible. Maybe the next bite will taste better. Before you know it, you've finished the whole steak. Waiter comes over to take your clean bite and say, it's no good. I'm in your corner, send it back. But your daughter ate the steak. She used her services for 2 weeks and didn't pay her.
Well, we can't say that she used her services because there are other pieces of evidence that we have.
Well, you mean you're talking about that sometimes she left the children with her husband?
Yes.
Yeah. Baloney. Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work. If you're not satisfied with the service, you stop using the service. If you continue to use the service despite the fact that you're not satisfied with it, you gotta pay for it. That's America. You got paid, your father got paid, she gets paid.
Shanice Grimm has accused her client, Dallas Lee, of refusing to pay for child care services. Dallas claims Shanice wrongfully disciplined and neglected her children.
Your daughter had the benefit of daycare so that she could work.
Absolutely.
And she had the benefit of daycare from this lady that enabled your daughter to make money.
But if we're talking breach of contract, the contract was breached when the husband watched the child. And
now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Now you're making excuses. Now you're not teaching your daughter responsibility. Your daughter worked to make money. You worked those last 2 weeks, didn't stay home with your grandchildren. You made money.
Absolutely.
The only one that didn't make money and had her 3 children for those 2 weeks was the plaintiff. She ate the steak. She used the service. She didn't have anybody else. It's not as if, well, I had to hire somebody else to take care of the kids the last 2 weeks, even though it was in my deal. So that's why I'm not paying them. She worked, you worked, she worked. And if her husband, if she ran out to the store and left her husband, unless you're telling me that that was such a breach of the agreement that your daughter took the children out of a program. Did she? I'm taking my children out of the program. Dad, can you help me out for the next couple of weeks until I find something else? But you can't eat the steak, which she did. Now you can sit down.
Can I say one more thing?
Not if you want to continue to look foolish. Now you're not teaching her responsibility.
Well,
now you're not teaching her responsibility. I don't want to have to teach you responsibility.
Well, you don't have to. I'm a veteran. I know what responsibility is. But when you are promoting your program as one thing, but your service is another, I cannot say that if Bobby Flay is cooking the steak.
It doesn't matter who was cooking the steak. It was whether you ate the steak. It's whether you ate the steak.
I get what you're saying, Judge. But if it's promoted as Bobby Flay cooking it and Bob Berger cooked it, and I don't like the taste, then those are two different things.
Oh, no, sir. If you're promoting Bobby Flay as cooking the steak and you find, or the hamburger, and you find out that Bobby Flay's younger brother was cooking the steak or was cooking the burger, and either way, if the burger is no good, you're not going to eat it. But you can't eat it and say, well, I really thought I was getting a Bobby Flay hamburger, and I didn't get a Bobby Flay hamburger, so I'm not going to pay for it, even though I ate it. Now you can sit down. How much is 2 weeks' worth of care? $600?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff, $600. You have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is ridiculous. Money owed for lost wages, emotional distress on behalf of the children. You shouldn't have emotional distress on behalf of the children, madam. You're their mother. The first time you had an inkling that you felt that your children, your young children, were being neglected in the plaintiff's care, what you should have done was remove them. Remove them. First time then, you found that the baby, the little one, was bitten by her little one. You say, that's not watching them carefully enough, because they, I think, are supposed to be separated, correct?
Yes.
No, we were all in one room, so they weren't having to be separated, because with me only having less than 4 children, there was no way of separating because there was only one me.
It's a big responsibility to take care of little children.
Correct.
My daughter shouldn't have been in his reach. She did tell me that she left out of the room.
I agree with you.
She left out of the room is what she told me, Judge. So that's actually not true. She told me that she left out of the room and went to the kitchen.
What day? Give me the date that happened.
September 13th.
You left the children there until the end of October. It couldn't have been so disturbing for you, madam, to leave the children there until the end of October, another 6 weeks, if you felt as if they weren't getting adequate care. And if you did, that would be on you. And maybe a little bit on your father. Because if you told him about it, he said, oh my God, that's terrible. Take my child out right away. All 3 of them. But you didn't. You left them in there September 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, all the way up until the end of September and the end of October. That's on you.
Actually, she did not have them in the end of September because she was suspended from her job. So they were gone for 2 weeks in September.
Were you suspended from your job?
I was. I had to...
That's my question. You were suspended from your job. When you were suspended from your job, did you take the children out of daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's reasonable. She didn't give you a problem with that, I assume.
No.
And you didn't pay for those 2 weeks?
I did not.
Great. Well, these 2 weeks you're going to pay for. Because
I don't believe I owe her
I don't care what you believe. If you're not listening to what I'm saying to you and you're fixed in your opinion, that means you haven't learned anything. Your father tried to teach you a little bit of tough love? What I'm telling you is, if you work, you get paid. If you're not satisfied with this, pay for it. That's America. You got paid, your father got paid, she gets paid. She didn't get paid for the 2 weeks you took your kids out. Didn't say to you, well, you have to pay me anyway. I have to keep this open for you. That was very fair. Took the kids out, didn't pay. You left your kids in, you pay $600. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I am a little upset she didn't see things my way.
The judge was kind of in my favor for majority of it.
You know, her leaving my children in the care of her 15-year-old son and also her husband.
And why did she continue bringing her children to me for another month?
Also, my son letting me know that, you know, she hit him.
I have never touched her children. I could take a lie detector test to prove it.
It was pretty difficult for me because I didn't have any other choices. I didn't have anyone else who could help me with keeping all 3 of my children while I work.
She actually never gave me excuses. She actually just told me she was going to pay me.
Life is not easy.
If you work, you should get paid.
But you get back up and you keep moving.
My generation, I'm not sure about yours, I haven't had much experience in yours, but in mine, I think we confuse having to make a hard choice with being out of options. Here, I felt for the defendant. She had to make a hard choice. But even when her father came up and felt the need to burst out and say, my daughter had no options, she had no choice. Well, she did have a choice. It was a hard choice. You had to send your 2 older sons to live with their father and find a sort of mediocre, at best, childcare situation. But you made the choice to have those 3 children. And when you have children, you make a commitment to make the hard choices to benefit them.
In their best interest.
In their best interest. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you shouldn't become a parent.
In any event, I tried to make my steak analogy. It didn't.
I thought it was great. I had a great...
John Garner are suing record producer Livin Manziel for event costs after Livin canceled their Halloween party.
Who's Mr. Garner? Mr. Foster.
Right here.
Are you going to be speaking? You're standing in the speaking spot.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. According to what I read, the defendant rents a music studio. Is that correct?
I rent a facility in which I own a music studio.
You rent in someone else's building?
Yes.
And you're recording people? During the course of your business, you decided to enter into an agreement with the defendant to use that recording studio, which she rents from, that space which she rents from a landlord.
May I correct you, please, Your Honor?
Yes.
She actually is a facility that has multiple units in it. She runs a studio, and then there's other event space inside of that same facility.
Okay, give me an idea of how large the space is.
I believe we were quoted something like 5,800 square feet.
And so you have a music studio, and around it is other open space. nothing to do with the music studio.
Absolutely not.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And according to you, you gave her $6,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Sort of front money to start using that space.
Yes, ma'am.
Subsequent to giving her the money, according to you, there were restrictions put on the space, on the number of people you could have, the kind of parties you could have, etc.
No, absolutely. I apologize.
Well, you have to pay attention,
okay,
sir, because what I'm suggesting is really in your favor.
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay.
So, is really in your favor, so you have to think.
Okay.
Subsequent to giving her, that means after giving her the money, restrictions were put on the kinds of events and the number of people you could have in the space. Is that true or not true?
That is absolutely true.
No, that's not.
I'll get to you in a second.
Okay.
You gave her $6,000, and then I'm going to hear what her defense is. So I want you to tell me when, for the first time, did you have a discussion with the defendant about going into this business venture where you would front the money and whatever events you would have there, you would reap the benefit, the financial benefit from that. When did you have that discussion with her?
Okay, so we met living at the end of August of 2022. We actually signed the agreement pretty fast. We signed the contract agreement on September 1st.
May I see the agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
There was no agreement signed, so I don't know how it could be signed.
She keeps arguing that.
Just a second. Could you be quiet?
Yes, ma'am.
So in your hands.
Shh. What's?
That's the studio that she runs.
Sarah, you have to sort of explain it because I don't see signatures. You know, I'm used to looking at contracts where people sign things, but I know
you sign or some sort of online.
Okay, is that you?
This was a proposal that I did. I do not even own it yet as a DBA.
Just a second. It's getting better. Don't say anything. This is your proposal. Now I'm going to read it.
Okay.
And your masterpiece management.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, so this is sort of easy. You prepared this proposal. Speak.
Yes, after.
Just a second. You prepared this proposal.
Yes, ma'am.
And as a result of this proposal, you received and deposited $6,000.
Yes.
Yes. Well, then you have a binding contract. Okay? So that's what I'm telling you. You have a binding contract. And there is nothing in this contract that limits the kinds of events or the number of people or anything else with regard to this space. All it says is business activities, event planning, and event rentals. Nothing else. And this is your proposal, the agreement, which became a contract once you accepted their $6,000. I view the terms of the agreement most harshly against you because you prepared the document. And it says this agreement cannot be amended without the written consent of all parties.
Yes.
Yes. So signed the agreement, you got the money, and then at some point, according to them and according to you, you made certain limitations on the kinds of events, the numbers of people, etc.
That is.
Now that happened according to you because you do not own that space, you rent that space, and there was a problem with the first party that they threw.
Correct.
Come on, we're not talking about Gone with the Wind here. We're not talking about a 6-volume masterpiece. We're talking about a yes or a no. Based upon this proposal, they gave you $6,000, which you deposited into your bank account. That means a contract was created. That's the agreement. I'm telling you, that's the law.
Jamar Foster and Sean Garner claim record producer Livin Manziel broke their agreement by canceling their...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and after that party that got out of hand, too many people or whatever it was, your landlord complained.
Yes.
Okay, and it was after that that you told your two partners that the...
We are not partners.
Yeah, according to this you are.
We didn't finalize the agreement.
This is a finalized agreement, madam. I just said to you, I want you to pay attention. This is your proposal. Based upon this proposal, they gave you $6,000, which you deposited into your bank account. That means a contract was created. That's the agreement. I'm telling you, that's the law.
Okay.
You prepared the proposal, you signed it, they said okay, and they fulfilled their part of the agreement by giving you $6,000, which you accepted. Got it? Got it? And you can't, according to the agreement that you prepared, modify this agreement any space.
We didn't have all of the details about the place.
Well, see, next time you should know what you're dealing with, whether she's the owner or whether she's not the owner, whether she's a renter, whether she has the ability to rent out to sublease for events. I mean, all of these things, before you give somebody $6,000, you should know that. Okay. And you had one event at the space?
No, we actually didn't get an opportunity to throw any events at the space at all. The event that you were speaking of, she had partnered with another group of promoters and individuals to throw that party. So you
didn't have anything to do with that? What was it, a Halloween party or something? It was a Halloween party, but that wasn't with you?
No, that wasn't.
Is that correct?
He was a part of the event.
Is that correct, that
No.
it was with other people?
Yes, it was correct. It was with other people. They were just associated with the event. They worked at the event. And
I don't care whether they worked at the event. You received money from other people for an event.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, let's be clear. And after that event, you imposed additional restrictions on the use of the space.
No,
hold on a second.
They knew about the event.
Hold on. They can't tell me what they knew. This is your contract. It's into the party, but it was not their party. Somebody else paid you for it. The next party they wanted to throw involved minors, and I told them absolutely not.
Yes, ma'am.
I just made it clear what types of events would be approved. Well, you can't do that. I'm just telling you, you can't do that.
Ma'am, I'm not allowed to throw events that have out drugs for children.
You have to understand something. You can do whatever you want as long as you put it in a contract. You prepared the contract. This contract is silent as to any restrictions on the space for events. So you have to give them their $6,000 back because they didn't have an event. They got nothing of value for their $6,000.
Correction. They were managing an artist whenever I met them that they were responsible for paying.
That's a contract case. Now, you have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for $1,000 because you say they owe you that for a rental that they did for an artist that they manage.
I provided my services as a recording artist and a music producer for their artists. I provided them with 2 exclusive beats.
Well, show me the contract with them.
I have.
Just show me the contract with them.
There was no contract.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $6,000. Counterclaim dismissed. We're done. Thank you very
Court
much.
is adjourned.
I was just trying to have a proposal, not a finalized agreement.
Well, I appreciate us getting some type of justice out of the situation.
They came in wanting to do multiple things, and I was excited for my small business.
We tried as much as we could to help out and make sure that we increase the revenue streams inside of that business.
They're actually going to be hosting hookahs with children at your event in your space. I'm not comfortable with that.
To ever associate us with any type of drug use or abuse, especially involving children, that was just an inaccurate claim.
I think it's better just to part ways.
Move over to bigger and better things.
I was going to tell you I had the invitation, per se, for the event for Halloween that they had put together. So all food and drink will be provided. So I could tell that they had put in a lot of effort to hosting this event. And although it wasn't a malicious breach on the defendant's part, I understand she hosted a party that had nothing to do with the plaintiffs. She got into a little bit of hot water. So to be cautious, she was letting them know, hey, I can't host these types of events with a lot of people. It makes the street too crowded, whatever the reason. However, I disagree with you because I would have given them the full $10,000 that they were asking because although not a malicious breach, and I understand her concern after having the incident with the previous party, but that's not their fault.
You believe that the difference between the cost of one venue to another should be ascribed to them. It's interesting, but the $6,000 was to cover a lot of events. This is one event. So
I see your point now that you put it that way.
Maybe.
I just think if you were going to make them whole, they should receive their expenses.
Jessica Crosley for an unpaid loan.
Ms. Crosley, I'm going to start with you. You and Mr. Smith were in a romantic relationship for a period of time.
Yes.
From when to when?
I want to say it was about a year before my son was born. My son was born February 11th, 2019, and our relationship ended about 4 or 5 months after he was born.
And after you separated, according to what I read, you sort of remained friends.
Yes.
Great. You had some trouble with your finances, and you had serious debt. What kind of work do you do?
I am a credit collections agent.
Not a good thing when you're a credit collections agent. And this was after you had already been separated for a long period of time. And at some point, what I'm piecing together is you discussed your financial circumstances with Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And one of your options was to seek protection in bankruptcy.
Correct.
And Mr. Smith thought that that was a bad idea, I assume, on credit cards with very high interest. And since he had credit, he would take out the loan and you would pay that loan off, which was manageable every month. Is that generally what this is about? Yes.
His behavior had started getting irrational, scary, started calling me a lot, asking my whereabouts, texting me, driving by my house on several occasions I saw.
I'm still not understanding.
Justin Smith claims his ex-girlfriend just
in a year.
March of 2022, this year.
What were the payments each month, starting in March or April, principal and interest?
He had told me that it was $500.
Told you they were $500. He took out that loan, and am I correct, Ms. Crosley, that you paid off your credit card debt?
Yes.
And you paid off your debt with the loan that he took out?
Yes.
And you did, in fact, create a situation where the money, because you were employed, would come out directly from your bank account to go to pay off the loan to his bank account.
Yes.
And you did that in what month?
That was started, I believe, at the end of April or beginning of May.
And how many such payments did you make?
Biweekly payments, I believe I made about 6.
Thereby acknowledging that...
In July of this year.
Why?
So I had started seeing my current boyfriend.
This is not a social show. Just tell me why.
So I had to take a day off of work to file for an order of protection.
Why did you have to take a day off from work to file for an order of protection?
Because I was advised to by a police officer I spoke to.
Okay. And I assume against him?
Yes.
Okay. Give me the incident.
Okay. So in July, when I started seeing my current boyfriend, Justin had expressed that he wanted us to get back together, and I had told him no, that was not going to happen. And then his behavior had started getting irrational, scary, and there was an incident on July 19th where I had allowed his mother to take my son to a play, and she was supposed to drop him off back to me, and instead of dropping him back off to me, she had dropped him off with his father at his work. And then I got a call from Justin yelling, saying, "Where are you? What are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm on my way back home. Your mom's supposed to drop off Braden." He's like, "I have Braden. I'll meet you at your house." So I said, okay. We got to outside my house, and then he pulled up next to me and then started screaming out of the car, like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" I was like, "I was spending time with Anthony, my boyfriend." And he's like, "I'm taking Braden. I'm not going to give him back to you." And my son's crying in the back seat. And I said, "No, you give him back to me. It is my day to have him." And he drove away. He later called me and said I could meet them at Dairy Queen. So I met them there. I got her at me. And as me and my son started driving off, he threw a milkshake at my car, which scared me and my son very much.
Okay, good. And you filed for an order of protection. You had a trial on the order of protection, yes. And the judge dismissed your order of protection.
Yes.
After the trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm still not understanding why you stopped paying on the loan.
So when I had lost my job.
You lost your job when?
The next day. The incident happened on the 19th. I had to take the 20th off to file for the order of protection. The 21st, I was let go.
Oh, that had nothing to do with you being let go. Nothing. I just want to know why you stopped paying on the loan. You stopped paying on the loan because you lost your job?
When all these incidents happened, Justin had stopped paying for daycare, which was our agreed upon child support payment. We don't have a court order for child support, but he had been paying all of daycare. I cover all of his other finances.
So that was an agreement that you had, that he would pay for daycare?
Yes.
Okay. And he stopped paying in July?
Yes, he started only paying half of daycare.
Okay, so let's go back. He started paying for half?
Yes.
How much was he supposed to pay per month?
$560 was the full amount of daycare each month.
Okay, and he had been paying that. In July, he cut it down to?
To $270, I believe.
80.
Okay, so he wasn't completely not paying. He was paying part of it.
Correct.
Tell me why you cut the payments in half, because you have a counterclaim for that.
Yeah. So in July, we started a custody case for full custody of our son.
You're talking in July. Who started the custody case?
I did.
Daycare, because you have that case in family court. The court there will make a determination as far as future child support and whether or not this daycare should have been paid. So you have no reason for not paying the loan.
I was planning on filing bankruptcy.
Okay, but you didn't. You didn't file for bankruptcy. You did the smart thing. How much is left on the loan?
It's in excess of $12,000 or $11,000.
What interest rate is on that loan, by the way?
36%, I believe. Current balance as of November 30th, $12,631.
How is that 30%?
100%. These were online lenders.
Oh, wow. Okay, you have a counterclaim. Harassment. Daycare costs is out. Lost wages because you say you had to take a day off to file a protective order and you were fired? Nonsense. Harassment. Let's hear it. And don't go back to anything that you told the judge during the hearing that you had where he dismissed your application for an order of protection.
Okay, well, the order of protection.
Okay,
that was...
They're just shh. Well, if that's the testimony, it's already been adjudicated. A judge, using the same measure of proof that I would use, dismissed your case. So I'm not relitigating that case. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I believe he was angry that I started a relationship with somebody.
I think the restraining order was part of her defense as to why she didn't want to pay me back anymore.
I was ready to file bankruptcy, and he had offered to take it out for me.
I think that that's a good lesson, that you can't use the court systems and restraining orders to get out of a loan that you have really no excuse for not paying except for you lost your job. And I just think it's tricky. I think that a lot of defendants come in here and think that they can just say, I didn't have the money and so I don't have to pay it. But that's not the case.
What's most interesting to me is these 800% or 500% or 100% interest-bearing loans.
I know, it's something.
Where did that come from?
It's something I've seen recently in the past couple of years. It seems like every online shopping venue now has some form of loan payment or loan offering or
signing and a fraudulent investment.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2125, Anderton versus Sorson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Anderton, your case against the defendant is twofold. First, you claim a loan to him in the amount of $10,000. And while he doesn't deny that you gave him $10,000, it is his defense that this was not a loan, but an investment in a project that went south. It went south because somebody conned him, and thus you were conned as well. Somebody took off with the money. The second part of your lawsuit is that Mr. Sorensen is a trainer of some sort, a personal trainer, fitness trainer, and you retained him to put you on some sort of a regimen of both diet and exercise. And you paid him in advance. He wasn't forthcoming with all of the training sessions he was supposed to give you, became unavailable. You want a refund of some of that money. So the first thing I'm going to deal with in your lawsuit is the $10,000 exchange of money. If I find that that, in fact, was a loan or was fraudulently entered into as a result of being duped and being stiction. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay, great. How did you meet him?
I met him on a dating site, actually.
When?
Early June 2021.
Did you date?
We befriended each other. And after our first meeting, that is when I had just come off of a ventilator of 10 days. I was a nurse, contracted COVID. He actually came to my home and said, I could really help you get back to where you were. I needed rehab.
Okay, so after the first meeting, you were not dating?
No.
Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
And that was in June of 2021?
Yes.
When did you, Mr. Sorensen, tell Ms. Anderton about this investment opportunity?
It was about a month into...
So 4 weeks later?
Right.
4 weeks later, you became close enough to discuss with her a business opportunity.
Yes.
And did you discuss this business opportunity with her and her?
Come to me and...
You had a friend whose name is?
His name is Scott.
Scott what?
I can't remember his last name.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
If it's true, then it didn't happen. If it's true that you can't remember his last name, it's because he doesn't exist.
Oh, he does exist.
Oh, sir, you didn't give all that money to somebody whose last name you don't know. I want you to understand that. Then you're looking at me and saying I must have stupid written on my forehead. You don't look like a stupid man.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you look like it could be a cunning man, but you don't look like a stupid man. So if Scott doesn't have a last name, he didn't exist. I want you to tell me that's in my brain. In my brain is if you can't come up with a first and last name of somebody that you gave thousands of dollars to, he didn't exist.
Okay, in your mind.
Keep going.
I'm not going to keep going and dig any holes. I'm just telling you what the facts are.
No, those aren't facts, sir. That's a fantasy. You know, you're not mentally challenged in any way, are you?
No.
I want to tell you, if I told my 9-year-old grandchild who asked me for $100 because she wanted to invest his name you don't know, because I'm absolutely positive that if you said that to her, she would have said, well, what's this person's name? I want you to tell me now, Mr. Sorensen, what was the investment?
It was for Happy Pills.
It was for what?
Happy Pills?
Don't look at me.
Happy? Did you say Happy Pills?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about it. Tell me what you told her. You want to invest in Happy Pills. And
Yes.
what she'd say to you? She'd say to you, I'm a nurse, you know, so I'm an educated person. What's wrong with you? Okay, keep going. Keep going. I want to invest in Happy Pills.
Right.
Your friend Scott.
It was a friend of a friend. His name was Scott. Okay, and he introduced me to him and said that, hey, he went.
No, you mean Scott introduced you to somebody else?
No, my friend introduced me to Scott. I didn't know his last name, but we knew that he was in the industry.
Okay, so your friend introduced you to Scott.
Yes.
What's your friend's name?
His name is John.
Phone number.
I have no idea what his telephone number is.
Just a second, get out your phone and tell me what your friend's telephone number is. Everybody has their friend's number in their phone.
I don't know what his telephone number is.
Then you see why I don't believe you, sir? Do you understand why I'm having a problem with your story?
It's okay.
Do you understand why I'm having? So a friend whose number you don't have in your phone wanted to introduce you to somebody whose name you don't know to invest in Happy Pills. And this is what you told her? No, I'm asking you a question. Is this what you told her? I have a friend.
This is what I told her.
John, I have a friend, John, who knows a guy, Scott, who has this company that's going to make Happy Pills. I just want to know if that's what you're trying to tell me that you told this woman.
I am. It's okay. I don't know why she would make up that story that my parents gave me.
No. She's not making up the story. You're making up the story.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong about this, I actually don't feel badly, sir, because then you're the dope that got duped.
And later today,
You devalued her car while you had it.
Yeah.
And then you stopped making the payments on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last year's car wash raised $6,000. Let's do this.
Whoa. That's bonkers!
How close can we get to the sign?
This is it. No, wait. They take this seriously.
I told you!
Hey, Crystal, what do we say if somebody doesn't want to buy?
Buy my brownies or I'll kill you.
Don't say that, Crystal.
Jennifer Anderton claims her former friend, James Sorensen, owes her for a fake $10,000 investment.
It's Molly.
I assume that they make you happy.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. And so he went around to festivals and he sold Molly there.
He sold what?
Molly's.
MDMA. It's an illegal drug.
Oh, okay. So you told her you wanted her to make an investment with you with a big return on your money.
We talked about this for a long time.
Who did?
Me and...
You can't have talked about it for a long time, sir. You only knew her 4 weeks.
Okay.
You only knew her 4 weeks. Tell me about this $10,000. Did you take it out of a savings account? Do you have that from the bank?
Yeah.
I'd like to take a look at it. You want to tell me, Miss Anderson, the circumstances surrounding you transferring $10,000 to him?
He approached me saying that he needed a hard money loan for his business. He had an e-commerce business with supplements. His father and mother had given him the loans in the past, for the past 5 years, and they've gotten a good return. It was a for sure deal. He goes around and this is their festival project time. They make a lot of money doing this.
What does he do?
For supplements.
So he sells supplements?
Yes.
And it was his business? Did not
Yes.
Yes. Did he ever mention a guy Scott to you?
No.
So now I understand a little bit better. I see the withdrawal for $10,000. So tell me why he needed a hard money loan.
To buy the product to take to these festivals and sell them, yes.
Okay.
So he needed it for product.
And when did he tell you that he was going to return this money?
Within a week or two. That it was a week or two of festivals. This was the busy season. He does this every year, and this is a for sure return. And if I did this much amount of money, $5,000, this is how much I'd get back. If I did $10,000, it would be a $15,000 return for me. And I'm like, wow, I could pay off my student loans. I could, yes, do a lot with that.
Okay, so to synthesize what you told me, he told you that this was an investment in his company.
A loan.
A loan, excuse me. A loan for his company for product so that he could go out, sell 50? 50? Sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the company.
The Venmo transfer of $2,000 was to him in June?
June 16th of 21.
And a withdrawal of $8,000.
Same day.
Okay. Now, where did you put that money, sir?
I gave it to Scott.
Okay. Okay. I want to tell you, Mr. Sorensen, you have parents who gave you money?
They have in the
Just a
past,
second.
not as you
just
would
say you
say.
have parents
Not in,
that gave you money.
They did not ever give me money for my business ever.
What did they give you money for?
Christmas? They never financed for me for anything in my life. Okay. Nothing.
Oh, then you lied about.
I don't know why she would make up that story that my parents gave me.
No. She's not making up the story. You're making up the story.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong about this, I actually don't feel badly, sir, because then you're the dope that got duped.
Oh, absolutely. I know.
Then, just a second. That if you gave money to John, to Scott, then you're the dope that got duped because they were your friends. That's all I have to tell you.
I understand.
That's all. A judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
What we're getting into.
No, not until after like 3 or 4 months, and I think he brought that up in fear of me going to the police.
Time to part ways, and definitely learning curves on both ends.
Don't do silly things. It was definitely a learning curve.
I'm glad that things happened the way they did.
Something I'll never do again. And be a little more careful with your money and your investments, and don't trust everybody. I'm too trusting.
I just find it very funny that his entire business venture, was selling illegal drugs at festivals. That was the only plan. That was the whole venture. There was no...
That's really what he said.
Whether it was Scott, whether it was John, whether it was
But that
Joe.
was the business plan. Happy Pills. Thank you, by the way, for explaining what that was to me.
I didn't understand at first either, but when he said Molly at festivals, it's like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I'm pretty sure that's not a business.
Right.
So I'm glad she got her money back.
你干嘛？你香辣吧？香辣，你们吃辣，我们有辣度有微辣、中辣、特辣和爆辣。就我给你搞中辣好不好？啊，中辣。中辣是我们的比较好的一个口味。应该吃不了太辣。你看你刚刚下班，还下班没有啊？还没有，还没下班，几点下班？9点半。哇，那你挺辛苦的。早上几点上班呢？6点。哇，你好辛苦啊！累不累？平时？累不累？每天？不累啊？
累还哪搞啊？
哦，对，
累也没人搞了。
这个你工作的时候啊，配稀饭吃没胃口都可以，是吧？配稀饭啊，配面条，配下饭菜。我看您也是奔着下饭来买的。你看现在温度高，你工作时候注意别中暑了哦。
那我们发的有风油精
啊，
那老板都给我们发的有，真的防暑
都现在都不容易，特别是夏天。 爷啊，这个现在还不能吃，你应该知道，我刚刚说了，这个要放半个月，放个半个月。
半个月了
啊！现在温度高的话，如果说你看一个星期以后软弱入没有，如果说1个星期软弱入味了，你就可以开始吃；没有软弱入味的话，你就再放个几天。
现在温度高，
我给你装起来了，你看一下啊。现在温度也高啊，发酵会快一点。
啊，不要半个月，再放个10天的，放个
差不多放个10来天嘛。
10天就可以吃了。
对，
因为现在温度高，
温度高，
冬
天会长一点。夏天的话时间短一点嘛。
现在好高温度啊。
对，现在也热，发酵会快一点点，比冬天。
为什么？这门关。你不去辣的还不会放啊？
有不辣的，有微辣，你吃不了辣就可以放微辣。爷爷家
不去辣的还我跟你不辣。
来拿着爷爷。